Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money, but instead of entering league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. Think of it like the Harlem Globetrotters of football, and it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil, and the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. So, as Liverpool spending looks set to rise, what's brought about their radical window transition? Meantime, Tottenham take on PSG tonight in the UEFA Super Cup final. Style versus substance. Can Thomas Frank realign the Spurs balance? Also today, what will drive down piracy more? Availability or price point? How will Red Bull treat rugby? Is it regulator to the rescue for Sheffield Wednesday? Are Bournemouth choosing profit over momentum? And amidst the riches of European qualification, is it refreshing to still hear owners valuing the good old-fashioned trophy? Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
And absolutely delighted to be so. And can I just tell everyone, Danny and I get quite emotional when we saw each other this morning. He walked into the building. This never happens with Simon and me, I have to say, exclusively live on talkSPORT. Danny came in. He's got a little overnight case because he's busy tomorrow. He put his case down on the ground and gave me an open embrace invitation. I walk all the way down the office and we must have hugged for a good minute and a half. Danny, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it was nice to get a morning rush of oxytocin.
Well, that as well.
It's been a while since I've had a hug off you, Jim, so...
Danny, and I was...
It's nice to be back.
Yeah.
Although my chair's a bit low.
Well, I was wondering, when I was doing the introduction there, I could see you wrestling with it.
Yeah, I'll sort it on the break.
Yeah, and here he is. In his Simon Templar outfit, looking great as usual. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Present.
Ever present. Indeed. Holding up the end.
How many days is it? How many consecutive days is this of live broadcasting from Simon Jordan?
Quite a few. a variety of different faces and spaces that I've occupied over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had a gotcha, you said this moment for about 3 weeks.
You might have,
No doubt, well, I'll get them.
you might have fatigue as the season goes on. It's like playing in the Club
Do you
World
think so?
Cup. Yeah, you might. You might
Drivel fatigue.
Pardon?
Do you think I'll get into drivel fatigue really quickly?
Yeah.
Drivel fatigue. Yeah. No, so far we've
Let's have an argument about kids in the tennis stands.
Listen, Danny, your mate Alan Shearer's got a birthday today. What do you think?
Happy birthday.
No, give me the age.
53. 54.
Yeah, 54. 55.
55.
55. Well done, Danny. Just a minute at the end.
55.
I forgot it was in camera there, and everybody could see me mouthing to Danny.
He looks good on it,
55. He
actually.
looks good, doesn't he?
Yeah, he works.
I saw him
he works
last
out.
week at that collectibles thing in Regent Street in London. CBG was there. Rio was there. Did a chat with Rio yesterday. What's up with you?
Who's CBG?
Stevie G.
Oh, God, Stevie G. Okay. This is what these guys call him. You're not supposed to call him a Stevie G.
No, probably not.
You're a broadcaster, a highfalutin broadcaster
Do you know what?
of great repute.
You're quite right,
Stevie
Simon.
G.
Well done for picking me up on that, actually, Simon J. In the last half hour, Christian Romero has been named the new Spurs captain, Danny. Is that good news, do you think? Good news for him.
Well, it could work positively in terms of giving him.
I thought he was leaving.
Yeah, I thought he wanted to leave, but obviously he's not because he's been given the armband. But it might curb his behaviour a little bit.
Sent him.
Yeah.
Simon, actually, you're not wrong because he surprised us in December when he said Manchester City competes every year. You see how Liverpool strengthens its squad, Chelsea strengthens their squad, and so on and so forth, basically saying, what are we doing? That raised a few eyebrows.
I thought he was linked.
He was linked with Atletico Madrid.
That's what I thought, yeah. I mean, ultimately, maybe the link wasn't as strong as it was led to believe. Maybe there wasn't a queue of people around the corner for him. And maybe Thomas Frank has pitched him a woo, which includes making him captain, because clearly he's a good player.
Very good.
The judgment about him is temperamental. Sometimes gets ahead of himself, thinks he's better than he is, and thinks he's bigger than the club that he's playing for.
Yeah.
When he gets rid of all that nonsense, he's a first-class footballer.
Well, I was going to say, maybe it pays to have a little nibble at the board.
I don't know if that's what he's done, but I mean, I certainly think that what he's done is being given an opportunity to repay the faith and trust insofar as captains are important in this day and age. It's an honour. It's recognised as something of value. And it'll be interesting to see if it brings out the best of him, because there's no doubt this is a top-quality central defender.
I think if you've got anything about you and a bit of emotional intelligence, it does focus you. I got the armband at Fulham and it changed my perspective.
In what way?
Just in terms of
worse.
your role in terms of helping others, your desire to do so, controlling your own silliness at times and your own mouth, and just channeling it into a more productive place.
Right. Did the armband mature you as a player, as an individual? That's a serious question, seriously. Yeah.
Focus me much more differently.
Oh, well, Christian Romero might have a different focus as a result of getting the Tottenham armband. Danny, here's the thing. Your beloved Liverpool, they've signed Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, Milos Kerkez, Hugo Ekitike, a combined total in excess of £250 million. We know they're pursuing Isak from Newcastle. They've also opened talks with Palace over Mark Gahey, with a deal worth £35 million being discussed. After last summer's restraint led to a title-winning season, what's brought about Liverpool's radical window transition?
Well, Trent obviously left, so you had to replace him. Diaz wouldn't sign a new deal, so they were looking to bring in someone to have to replace him. The unfortunate passing of Diogo Jota, some of it was necessary. I don't think it was a case of we've got to clear the decks, get fresh players in. It was needs must. Obviously not all of them, but a lot of them you have to bring in numbers. So they've lost 3, gone out 4, and they've only actually brought in 2 in the attacking areas. So they probably need another one, whoever that is. But it's good business. I think the 2 front players look really good. And I think they need another centre-half as well. That's a good one with Gay. I think he's a terrific player.
35 million quid, Simon.
It was a byproduct of the years left in his contract, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the only way you get that out...
Is it 1 year left?
1 year left. The only way you get that up is competitive tension, which means more than one club wanting to buy him. So if the only club that's wanting to buy him, that has a necessity to buy him now, is Liverpool, then Palace are a hostage to fortune. In the ideal world...
Well, what do you do as an owner then? If, say, Newcastle want him, but he only wants to go to Liverpool, Newcastle say they'll give you 50, and Liverpool are saying we're only giving you 30.
Well, you're in a difficult position, aren't you? I mean, you try to make the best fist of it that you possibly can. At the end of the day, if you've resigned yourself to selling the player, and you resign yourself to the ramifications of that, then you're going to have a little bit of difficulty controlling the direction of travel as to where the player may go. I mean, it's reasonable to say to a player certain things. I'm not sure it's reasonable, irrespective of my tendency to veer into the Bob Lord territory of being the old Burnley chairman and his belief what footballers should and shouldn't do, is that it's not potentially my gift to say to him, you must go there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's a difficult one.
I mean, when you cast your mind back, boy, how times have changed. 2022, this was Jurgen Klopp.
Nobody can compete with City in that. You have the best team in the world and you put in the best striker on the market. No matter what it costs. No matter what it costs, you just do it. I know, City, they will not like it. Nobody will like it. You ask the question, but you know the answer. But what does Liverpool need? We cannot act like them. It's not possible. Not possible.
Is that not hard to...
It's just clear. And again, you know the answer. There are 3 clubs in world football who can do what they want. Financially. It's illegal and everything fine, but they can do what they want.
Well, Liverpool seem to have joined the ranks. I mean, could there now be an accusation, Danny, that Liverpool are buying their way to success?
There might be from certain quarters. The reality is, if you look at it from a business perspective, the net spend at the minute's about 60 million, isn't it? It's hardly, It's hardly stupid.
I mean, if this was Man City or Chelsea, though, the perception would be different, wouldn't it be, Simon? This is what City do. This is what Chelsea do. They buy and buy and buy.
I think everyone accepts that the bigger clubs spend a lot of money. I mean, what Jurgen Klopp said at the time might have been relevant to a particular conversation. It was inaccurate because clearly clubs can't do precisely what they want. There was governance around. Yeah. Manchester City might have more liquid cash, which means they can make transactions happen, but they still had to be governed by the central governance of PSR or FFP, as it would have been at the time. So that was Jurgen Klopp having a whine about the challenges that Liverpool were probably facing at that particular time and the reasons why they weren't achieving the things that he might have wanted them to achieve, or more likely, he was being judged upon by the questions that he was being asked at that particular time. Liverpool have always spent relatively well. They've
not like this.
No, but they didn't spend...
If they get Isak, that's 200 million on 2 players. Burks and Isak.
But clearly they have the headroom to do it. Clearly by winning the Premier League, clearly by the reality of the circumstances they find themselves. They didn't spend any money last year. So if they had spent £175 million last season, £175 million this season, no one would have said anything. They'd have all gone, oh, okay, wasn't the top club spend £150 million a season? So they just happened to be concentrating it in one season. They were very fortunate that Klopp had assembled such a brilliant squad that Arne Slot could walk through the door and defy the conventional wisdom of it's not my team and go with what was there. And
you see, Danny, with respect, I don't remember you mentioning net spend when it came to Chelsea.
I probably did.
Let's check it out.
I don't think you or I can have the capability of remembering yesterday. Never mind, God knows how many months ago. But I think the net spend is relevant to every club.
But it's a very different argument that you're making because everybody spends money. It's a reductive argument because the whole business of football is based upon money. The whole transfer window, the whole dynamic of this industry is predicated upon how much you spend, how much players you buy. And so the difference between the Manchester City argument and, say, the Chelsea argument and even the Blackburn Rovers argument is these football clubs were manufactured out of... I know that City existed before, and I know that they were a club of significance in 1969 when Joe Mercer was the manager and Malcolm Allison was his assistant, and they did great things. But the reality of it is that Chelsea and Man City were brought to life, reanimated and packaged into something different, which dominated English football.
I think it's fair to say
people's money rather than
but the reality of it is that Liverpool have joined the ranks of the big spenders.
I think it's fair
to say... If they get Isak, they'll have broken the British record twice.
I think it's fair to say that this is unusual for Liverpool.
Sure.
And actually not their normal way of going about it.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, Simon has explained it in terms of the lack of business last summer meant that this summer was always going to be more proactive.
But Liverpool have always spent big... I mean, they spent £150 million on a centre-back and a centre-half and a goalkeeper.
Yeah, that was Coutinho.
I understand that. So the difference is that they generated the money through transfers. This time round, they're generating the money through the commercial activities of the football club and some of the transfers.
Yeah, but Simon, at the start of the summer, would you have expected Liverpool to break the British transfer record not once but twice?
Not twice. I think that's fair.
Well, first and foremost, records are broken all the time because the market moves. The value of football has changed. Well, Trevor Francis was bought for £1 million 45 years ago. The transfer fees are now £100 million plus, and they happen with regularity. So the fact of the matter is that the revenues that football's bringing in change the dynamic. There's no point making a British... Rio Ferdinand was bought for £30 million in 2001. Transfer fees are now regularly... Average players are being bought for 40, 50 million quid. So the scale of the market dictates the circumstances in which people spend.
I think, the fact that Liverpool have joined the £100 million bracket and buying players is something that surprised a lot of Liverpool fans.
But and in the space of 3 years, it's all changed since Klopp.
Why? Because you're in Rome. You can't not be a Roman. Everyone's spending. The biggest clubs are spending huge dough.
I know.
And the only reason that Haaland didn't go for 150 million quid because his agent and Haaland had engineered a situation that there was a release clause which was way below market value.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Right. Danny says he wouldn't have expected it. Would you have expected Liverpool, Simon, to break the British transfer record not once but twice? And they will do. They will do if they get Isak.
No, nobody did.
I didn't have
after a title-winning season.
I don't have any. Well, the conventional wisdom suggests that when you are strong, you strengthen. And if the market price, if you go and buy the best footballer in the country in a position, you pay the market price. So if Liverpool were in for the best player, then if you ask me at the beginning of the summer, if Liverpool are going to buy Isak, an XYZ player, will you be surprised that they break the British transfer record? My answer would be no. Because they were in for the best players.
Liverpool, for years now, apart from Van Dijk and Alisson, the rest of them, you could argue, are players that they brought in at a middle-of-the-road kind of fee and enhanced and worked with them and made them better. They very rarely went for the finished article and spend plus stupid money on players.
They bought Darwin Nunes for 18 million quid.
Well, this Tony, a Liverpool fan who joins us regularly, Liverpool's turnover last season was 700 million, this season 750 million. I'll put it out there this morning to Liverpool fans listening. You haven't got Isak yet. That one's still something of a roadblock. But is it wrong to accuse Liverpool of buying their way to success this time around? Would that be wrong? Would it be unfair? You might want to give us a call on that. Bear in mind, they'll break the record twice if they get Isak over the line. 03717 223344 810 89. It's Wednesday morning and Danny is in our midst. Good morning, everybody. Wednesday morning, Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy. We're live on talkSPORT. We're streaming live on YouTube and your smart TV. For all the information on how to watch the show, just head to talksport.com/watch. A lot to get through this morning, and at some stage, we'll head out to Saudi Arabia. Riyadh, Saturday night, live on talkSPORT. Moses Ituma up against Dillian White. Who's going to come out on top in that one? Is Dillian in for a hard night and a bit of a headache after that experience? We shall soon find out. We're talking Liverpool. Danny in our midst. You're heading up there, Danny, you're not? You're heading to Liverpool?
I'm in Manchester tonight and then Liverpool tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. Going to drop in the training ground.
Yeah, I'm doing a little piece with Arne Slot. Looking forward to that. Not met him before. Seems a charismatic guy.
You are speaking to Arne. Good stuff. For talkSPORT, we'll be hearing that.
Yep.
Good. All set?
Not yet.
Yes, you are. You can do your research in a way. Research?
I'm going to get Simon to do me questions for me.
Danny, here's one, though, and one or two Liverpool fans asking me to ask you. If Liverpool secure Isak, and again, sorry, no disrespect to the Newcastle fans listening this morning, is that title done?
I think it gives them a hell of a chance. You know, I mean, you can never say never. The only thing when you bring new players to a big football club, irrelevant of the talent, is how quickly they settle, how quickly they forge partnerships, relationships, how they deal with the pressure of playing for a club that's expected to win every game every week. You can't guarantee that when you sign 5 or 6 that they're all going to do that.
Well, I was going to say, Ekitike, Salah, Wirtz. Where does Isak fit in?
Well, Ekitike can play wide. He can also play as a 10. They're going to have, 60-plus games, I would imagine, if they do reasonably well in most competitions. So you can't just have one striker. But yeah, maybe Ekitike might be disappointed in that. I don't know whether they had a conversation with him when they signed him, but he can play. He's a bit more versatile. Isak's a definite number 9. Doesn't play anywhere else. But Isak's more complete than Ekitike. If you were choosing between both, you'd go for Isak.
Yeah.
So if they get him, in answer to the question, yeah, that gives them 5 forward players who are all very, very good players.
Newcastle tried and failed, Simon, to get Mark Gahey. Liverpool are trying for him. 35 million. Is the fee that's been spoken about. I was going to say, Danny, Simon, if you're Parish, what are you holding out for?
I would never be Parish. But Liverpool, they tried and failed last year because Palace weren't prepared to sell him. So it wasn't a case of Newcastle were rejected and rebuffed. It was a case of Palace themselves put a figure on it and Newcastle wouldn't go to that figure. And I think it was 65 to 70 million quid. And fair play to them for pushing the envelope. They didn't get the deal done. The player stayed. They won an FA Cup. Commercial value of that was very little to Palace economically, but the prestige of the club is great. Parish has already said, hasn't he, in no uncertain terms, that he accepts the principle of a player isn't going to sign a contract, which is the player's right, and that he is now sitting and looking at a player that's going to go out the door in a year's time for free. So he takes the deal that's on the table. That's the best opportunity for Crystal Palace. And like we said yesterday, the alternative is you back yourself to say that by Gahey staying in the side, we've finished 5 places up the league. We get another 15 million quid.
Yeah,
it's worth me keeping him. Palace will sell him. Because there's
35 million.
If they can get 35 million quid, the challenge for Palace is that at what point does Liverpool push the envelope, knowing that Palace have got a player that can probably walk out in January for 15 million quid, if someone's prepared to pay 15 million quid for 6 months worth of service. Or they get the best market price now, which is 35 million quid if it's on the table.
Yeah.
Liverpool operating the way that they do might suddenly think that they can go lower.
Well, this is how Liverpool are operating. Wirtz, Frimpong, Kerkers and Ekitike for a combined total in excess of 250 million quid. And they're after Isak. Has that surprised Liverpool fans? Mark is a big Liverpool fan. Mark, good morning. What's your take on this?
Good morning, yeah. I'm quite surprised that we've gone for this many players. I'm not surprised the left back and the right back. I am not surprised either with Wirtz because with Arnold gone, there's no creativity. But I also think that if you're wanting to win things year after year, the market is demanding that you've got to do this. You've got to keep on going out and you've got to keep on buying the best players. And it all started years ago, didn't it, with Chelsea, when they just had all that influx of money and went out and bought a whole load of people. And since then, the market's never come down. So I think that it's demanding. But what I would like to just sort of say as a little bit extra is if we didn't have the money, we wouldn't be going out and doing this. So if, aside from all the sales, if we weren't turning over this kind of money, you wouldn't be seeing us going in and getting players like Ekatike, Isak, people like that. It wouldn't be happening.
I've got to say, Mark, Simon's shaking his head here.
But that's not correct characterisation of it at all. Chelsea came in and created an opportunity for themselves and maybe have inflated the marketplace. But Man United were buying Rio Ferdinand for 30 million quid. You had two clubs dominating the landscape, which were Arsenal and Man United, and getting the best players. What Chelsea did, and what Jack Walker did prior to that, quite frankly, in '95, was do the same thing. So the idea that Chelsea started this race to the bottom for transfer fees isn't true. The transfer market was there. It was being spent at. Just the bigger clubs were able to dominate who they could and couldn't get. And now you've got a greater proliferation of wealth and different owners that have got the preparedness to be able to bankroll football clubs to match the expectations of their fans and also to overcome the legacy of the Arsenals, the Man Uniteds, and to some extent the Liverpools that had the ability to pick and choose who they wanted because no one else had the kind of financial might to be able to meet them.
Michael's another Liverpool fan. Michael, is it wrong to accuse your club of buying your way to success this time around?
Well, you could say that, but when you look at where the money's come, it's come from tapping into the resources of the fan base. Because in October, 15 years ago, Liverpool nearly went out of business. And it's only through the due diligence of FSG and doing it a slow burn process. I don't know whether Simon will agree with me on this, but it's been a slow burner. We've not been in this position ever, in my opinion, as a Liverpool supporter. Even when, I forget the guy's name who owned Littlewoods when we won it in 2005.
David Moores.
Yeah.
That's right, Moores. He didn't even, he splashed the cash, but not to the extent that we can do now, because I think the Americans have tapped in to the sponsorship opportunities at Liverpool, and people are saying that we're buying the league. 2 years ago, we had Lavia turning us down, Caicedo turning us down, and we bid more money than Chelsea, but we were no pull Liverpool. Now we've got who works at Liverpool, and it made me chuckle when Man City put out the press release and they said, it was too big a deal. And I'm thinking, hang on, you're Man City and you've got exponential wealth, more than Liverpool have got, backed by a sovereign wealth nation, and you're saying you can't do it because it's too big of a deal.
I think these are great points that Michael's making.
Well,
I think he's right on it.
But this has nothing to do with the wealth of the ownership. This is to do with the governance of the sport.
No, but we haven't. Michael's right. We haven't seen this before from Liverpool.
No, maybe we haven't. But Liverpool haven't been in if you look at the economics of Liverpool against Man United and the rise of the Premier League, they both started on about 40 million quid, and Man United went like this, and Liverpool stayed pretty on the same level. All of a sudden now, because of the wealth in football, because of the broadcasting deals, because of the commercial opportunities surrounding players, Liverpool have now got £750 million turnover. That is nothing to do with anything other than the commercial value of football now. And because Liverpool are winning the Premier League, they get the most money out of the Premier League. Because Liverpool are going deep in the Champions League, they're getting significant, and the coefficients that are coming alongside that are generating more revenue for them. Because they're playing in other tournaments, because their commercial revenues are through the ceiling, they're able to do this. And if the commercial revenues were like that 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and that's not just Liverpool, that's football. That's football.
The other thing is they've just won the league without buying, well, they bought one player, whatever it was. So to say they're buying success, well, they've got success without buying it to a degree.
Yeah.
And now they're just improving that situation.
Yeah.
They're using their success to create more
of course,
success.
Look at the scale of football. When Palace got promoted in 2004, we got 20 million quid. That's what we got for being in the Premier League for one season. You get £110 million now. So everything is grown phenomenally. So it's not surprising that transfer fees, player salaries, and the commercial values of football have gone through the ceiling. And Liverpool have been able to capitalise on that opportunity by producing a successful team, but they didn't spend any money last summer.
Yeah. We'll carry this on after the break. So many Liverpool fans, David, you've been waiting. I'll try and get you to the other side of the 10:30 bulletin. Liverpool, are you buying your way to success this time around? It wasn't that way with Klopp, but it seems to be this way with Slot, who Danny's going to be speaking to for talkSPORT later in the week. You might want to give us a call on that. 03717 2233 44 Wednesday morning. We're live in talkSPORT.
Over the last few years, Formula One has gone from elitist and insular to a global entertainment brand. The transformation's down to American investment group Liberty Media, who cultivated a new image for the sport since buying it in 2016. Better access to drivers, improved content on social media and tapping into the US market have given F1 a massive boost in both attention and revenues. But is everyone happy? The fans certainly are, as evidenced by Drive to Survive. Almost 7 million people per season have tuned in to get all the gossip and all the drama from the paddock. The extra exposure means the drivers can demand a higher salary too. In 2010, the top drivers were earning $20 million a year, which isn't bad. But now, the very best earn 3 times that, with Max Verstappen getting a whopping $65 million in 2025. But money doesn't always buy happiness. Some drivers, including Verstappen, don't like the pageantry the changes have brought about. In Las Vegas in 2023, Verstappen said the drivers were made to look like clowns, and the event was 99% performance and 1% race. Some purists who still watch the sport feel the same, and that the spirit of competition has suffered. But Formula One and Liberty Media don't look like slowing down anytime soon. So expect more races, major events and exclusive access in future.
It is indeed, and it's Wednesday morning, Wednesday, August the 13th. Jim White and Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. And we're live in talkSPORT. And we're streaming live on YouTube and your smart TV. So many of you watching this morning. Really pleased about that. It's getting more and more the case that so many of you take to watching the show, as well as listening to it, of course, and that's fine by us. However you get it is fine by us, and you get it when we get you, and that seems to be the main thing. Anyway, where am I going with that? I'll tell you where I'm going. Back to Liverpool. What is going on at Liverpool? Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, Milos Kerkez, Hugo Ekitike, a combined total in excess of 250 million quid. Is it wrong to accuse Liverpool of buying their way to success this time around? Many Liverpool fans, many fans of other clubs getting in touch. It's an absolute scrap to come to air, but we will come to air. At least David will. David, good morning. What do you want to say in this?
Hi, good morning, guys. Morning. I just think a lot of it's just a bit of jealousy from rival fans. We have spent a lot of money, but we've recouped a lot of that money, and our success is built on smart recruitment. We develop players like the likes of Robertson and stuff, and also obviously financial discipline that we've done over the years. We haven't had a rich billionaire to come in and back us and just totally throw money at it. Over the years, we've built this. And now we're having the fruits of what we've actually built. So people saying that we're buying success, it's far from the truth. It's something that we've built over the years. Shankly built it, Paisley built it with European success, and now Slott's got to start to try and build it by doing this.
I see what you're saying, David. So it's been a bit of a slow burn, mate, and now you're reaping the benefits.
Exactly, yeah. It's over the years of how we've gone about it financially. We haven't been massive spenders, and that's frustrated me because I've always said about Liverpool, I've been saying to them, I want them to spend money because I feel like we're falling behind by not doing that. But now they are doing it, and they're doing it by what they've done, good financial discipline. And and now it's bearing the fruits by obviously we're top of the league and we're in a financial position to spend this type of money. And let's not forget it, we've got the best sellers in the business as well. Our people. We always get decent money for our players like Chelsea, and that just shows how well we're doing at the moment.
Great call. Thanks, David. I mean, this isn't Liverpool as you knew it, Dan.
No. Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course.
Yeah. Well, I think Michael Edwards, and Richard Hughes have done a sterling job in that respect. I mean, if you're good at what you do, then the players you then need to move on or sell on are always going to have good value. The money they got for Diaz at his age is tremendous, really, when you think about it. He wouldn't sign a new deal. He's a quality player. People want him. And that gives you the capability to then do what they're doing now. So it's positive. I don't see any negative in what's going on at all.
No. Liam, do you? I mean, is all positive, Liam, that Liverpool are spending like this?
100%. I think it's mad that Liverpool are being spoken about in this way of trying to buy success. If you look at the type of players we've signed, we lost Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was a right back and one of our most creative players. So we signed Frimpong and Wirtz. We were struggling at left back, so we signed a left back, and Tsimikas is on his way out. We were struggling up front, so we signed a striker, and Diaz was sold. So why are Arsenal, who are very similar to us in the amount they've spent, not being spoken about like this? Manchester United, who had no success at all last season, why are they not being spoken? They spent, 190 million? So it's insane that Liverpool are being essentially spoken about. I think we're being judged for the player that we haven't signed. We're being judged as though we've signed Isak and as though we've spent all this money. We haven't even signed him. We've needed a centre-back for 3 seasons, so we're signing Gahey for...
Yeah, but come on, Liam, you couldn't have expected... Mate, you could not have expected Liverpool to break the British transfer record not once but twice, and it will be twice if they get Isak.
Well, it's ifs and whens. We haven't actually signed them. And
no, I agree.
We're being judged as though we have.
Yeah.
And we're being judged. And even if we do, we've also sold Diaz. We've lost another up-front player, and, sadly, we've lost Jota as well. So we are short in that area, despite spending 90 million in that area.
Yeah.
Because we've signed one. So
listen, thanks for the call, Liam. Thank you very much indeed for the call. Now we've got Danny beside us, and there's so much to get through between now and 1. Believe me, there's not enough time, but we'll make time for this. What do you make of Isak's conduct so far, Danny? You played the game at the highest level. He's playing the game at the highest level. I know you love the guy. As a player, yeah, he's magnificent. But despite threats to go on strike, Newcastle are yet to receive an official transfer request from Isak. Despite his poor attitude and behaviour, Newcastle have chosen not to find the player. Newcastle are going along with it at the moment. But Isak's become a problem, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think inevitably when a player desperately wants to move so much, we've seen it many times over the years, that they have to tick certain boxes, which makes them look bad. You very rarely can get out when a club doesn't necessarily want you to go either. You do have to kick up a stink, and you do have to do things that you probably... I've done it myself. I've threatened things that isn't me. But, I felt so...
Did you say you wouldn't play for the club again?
Yeah.
What club?
Charlton. But that was to do with the way I'd been treated, and I felt I was really angry about it then. But looking back, I would change with the way I dealt with that.
I mean, David Ornstein, respected journalist, reported yesterday Isak's adamant he will not play for Newcastle again, even if the window closes and he hasn't gone, he won't play for them again.
It's what he's been told to say, or it's what's been leaked out. We don't know he said it for sure, but if that is true, I would imagine someone saying to him, "You've got to make a phone call and say this," because that's kind of what I did. And
what, and apologise?
No, the phone call where you're saying, "Look, you're going to have to sell me because I'm not going to play for that manager. I'm not going to play for you again."
He says he's got no wish to reintegrate.
Yeah.
So do you agree with tactics like that?
I understand them. No, I can't say I agree with them because it's not the ideal way to go about things, but it's sometimes inevitable. If you think about over the years, Bellamy was the best at it in the business. Bellamy got moves when nobody thought he could get out because he kicked up Scotty Parker did it at Charlton to get his move to Chelsea. Like, really kicked up. And sometimes you have to go to that extreme. It's just the way of the world.
Do you?
But if
in the fans' eyes, do you?
If you move it forward...
If you're a Newcastle fan, you love this guy. Now he's doing you in.
The big problem he's got, Isak, by acting like this, or any player who does this...
You said that Declan, incidentally, should have gone on strike to force through his move to Arsenal.
Did I? Well, if he had to do that, yeah. But he didn't have to, did he?
He didn't have to.
No. But that's why I'm saying I understand it. Ideally, you wouldn't want that to happen. The problem you've got, if Isak then reintegrates, you've got this mountain, which is the fans, to get back on side. The reality is, it's World Cup year.
Well, what about
he's not going to spend a season. If the deadline goes and he doesn't move, he's going to play.
But if you're a Newcastle United player now, Danny, would you welcome Isak back?
Yeah, players aren't like that. Players don't start judging. They understand it. He's good mates with them. You might get one or two who say to him, "Come on, like, behave differently or deal with it." Try and give him some advice. But if a brilliant player comes back into the fold and he's not gone anywhere, you want him back in the team. You don't want it.
What, and all is forgiven?
Yeah. Players to play, they're mates. You don't get that sinister.
Simon, you're smiling.
Because I think we're amplifying the nature of the relationship between players and the importance they attach to it. I said the same thing as Danny said yesterday. The players will welcome him back into the equation. You might have a few players that sit there and think that his behaviour was reprehensible, and then you've got to look at how many. Not many. So I look at it and say the solution will be found. He will probably end up going to Liverpool, but he may go to Liverpool a bit more on Newcastle's terms than Liverpool's terms.
But even if he doesn't, he won't spend the seasons not playing.
Of course he won't.
Did Mikel Antonio at the weekend, ex-West Ham, sum up the present-day attitude of top players? As a player, loyalty in the game is really gone. Clubs no longer treat players like they used to either. We're meat to them.
I think it's a generalisation. You can look at different examples. I mean, loyalty, I'd say Bruno Fernandes is a great example, or Harry Kane for all the years he stayed at Tottenham when he could have gone anywhere in the world. You know, there's always exceptions to the rules. I mean, it works both ways. If clubs want to be cynical and yeah, they can treat you like a piece of meat, but players can be selfish, egotistical, self-indulgent. There's good and bad.
But we should never believe a word that comes out of players' mouths, should we? We played some audio yesterday, Danny, of Isak after he scored the only goal of the game against Arsenal in November at St James's Park. I was there. I spoke to him. I love this place. I love this place.
But it's momentary, isn't it? Because he did love it that day. And he did love it in that moment. So you're momentary, satisfied and content. And all of a sudden...
A few months on.
Yeah, because
I want out this place.
But his progression was so good. And then the desire of others for him is told to him. So therefore he's going to change his... It's a bit... I simplify it. But let's say the best radio station in the world who's got the most listeners in Saudi. You didn't think they wanted you at your tender age. And then they call you next week. You've been saying for years how much you love being on air. And they say, Jim, come and do this show for us. We'll give you $5 million a year. You're gone. And you'll be kicking off to Liam to get out. If he's saying no, you're staying. Not that he would, but yeah.
I've already left.
But you get my point, don't you? You can change your mindset based on how your progression goes and how the demand is for you.
You're not surprised by this, Simon, are you? You've lived through this when you're at the top of the house.
No, but I think Mikel Antonio's assertion is just illustrates a certain thinking.
Well, he's given both sides.
And what kind of thinking?
Well, I think he thinks that perhaps that he wasn't given a new contract by West Ham. Yeah. And he's equating it to that. I think it's in this day and age where players are being turned into multi-millionaires overnight, they're afforded the kind of luxuries and courtesies and support around them that had never been seen before. I think it's a ridiculous statement to make. I think it's a ridiculous, self-indulgent, narcissistic load of old claptrap. Players are contractually obliged to be fit for purpose, and if they're not fit for purpose, then clubs might take a slightly different attitude towards them. More often than not, if a player is doing his job, doing it brilliantly, very rarely does a club have a problem with them. Very rarely does a club have a difficulty with them. If a player isn't doing his job, yeah, he might get compartmentalised, he might get put in his place, he might get told to do his job better. In football terms, that's being treated like a piece of meat. In the real world, where everybody goes to work and gets told their life stories every now and again if they don't do their jobs well, that's the reality of being effectively employed by someone else. So when Mikel Antonio trots out that load of old rubbish, it tells me what kind of person he is, and I'm disappointed by it because I think he's better than that. He had a very good run at West Ham. You know, there were times I understood where he wanted to leave West Ham because there were certain circumstances in his personal life where he needed more money and he was trying to engineer moves out the door. Where was his loyalty then? The fact that West Ham came back round again and gave him what he needed to be able to supplement the finances he needed in his private life is a different dynamic. But to suggest that somehow you can make this conversation, I would imagine, as an assumption on my part here, that it's based upon the fact that he didn't get a new contract at West Ham. West Ham didn't crash his car. He did.
Well, he
put himself in that situation.
Look, Simon, you're right, because we've seen how many times over the years superstar play. I mean, the way Gerrard left Liverpool, he wasn't particularly happy with because he didn't get what he wanted. You know, I think Lampard had a similar thing at Chelsea, and even JT to a degree. You know, it's like players want to.
It's entitlement.
Well, yes and no. They're individual cases, but.
Isak's in between a rock and a hard place if Liverpool don't come in with an improved offer, isn't he?
He's in a very difficult place, but it's climbable, that mountain of discontent that he's now created. Because I'm telling you now, if he doesn't go anywhere and he goes back in the team and bangs 5 goals in 3 games, do you think the Newcastle fans...
That's also why you haven't got direct quotes. That's also why you haven't got transfers.
It's hearsay, isn't it?
It's hearsay, because he'll everything in this conversation is row-backable. he will row back from it. He will say, that was a misinterpretation. That was a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
My agent was overzealous.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Liverpool turned my head, but I'm very happy to be here at Newcastle until the next opportunity comes around next summer. So everything is overcomable. Christ almighty. This is just a football team and football players that will be reintegrated if they score goals or don't score goals.
Now, when we come back the other side of this break, we'll talk about tonight's cup final. Yeah, really. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday morning. It's Jim White. It's Danny Murphy alongside Simon and myself, and we are live on talkSPORT, live on YouTube and your smart TV. We're coming to you courtesy of Selco. It's where the trade goes. We're with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. We'll talk boxing in a while, talk Russell Martin and Rangers in a bit. Not quite through the Champions League qualification situation yet, Rangers. A bit to go yet. In fact, Bruges is the bit to go yet. But anyway, we'll get to that. The moment we're stuck on this, and we make no apologies for it. There's a cup final tonight. Of course there is. And it's over in Italy. What is it? Well, it's a winner of the Champions League, PSG, against the winner of the Europa League, Tottenham Hotspur. It's UEFA Super Cup final at the Blue Energy Stadium, which I think is the home of Udinese in Italy. It's live on talkSPORT. Thomas Frank has been talking ahead of this one, getting used to the idea that Thomas Frank is no longer at Brentford, but he's at Tottenham. And he's been talking about the changes he has made to the structure of the team.
I'm a big believer of principles and structure in the team, offensively and defensively. So for me, there needs to be clear structure in, let's say, phase 1 and phase 2. When we're building up and want to control the game, and also in phase 3 where we want to score, and then of course the other way around in high pressure, middle pressure, and defending the box.
Danny, what do you think? Have you got in your mind's eye? Can you envisage what a Thomas Frank Spurs team is going to look like?
I think so. I mean, the Brentford side, which is what you go off, super fit, great energy, great stats, adaptable. Progressed into a really good footballing side, actually, after starting a little bit more direct under his tenure. I think there'll be still high energy, high press, a little bit Ange-like at times, but I also think you'll see a variation, even within games. He's got his Brentford side, I watched quite a lot, who, depending on who they were playing and even what stage of the game, would change what they were doing, and it was so deliberate. So I expect to see a more adaptable Spurs, better defensive shape without the ball for sure. Absolutely for sure.
Less swashbuckling than we saw with Ange.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at times they'll feel that they'll be
more substance and style.
I think you'll see a bit of both. I've been really impressed with his adaptability of tactics with Brentford. I think they evolved so well collectively. You watch them and you can always see what they're trying to do. The other great thing I think he'll bring to Tottenham is the set plays. I think he works tirelessly at them, and I think he knows what he's doing with them. Players, they just know what they're doing. I know that sounds obvious, and every team should, but Tottenham weren't great on set plays, especially defensively, so I expect that to be a big improvement, which is probably at least 12, 15 points if you get that right. And they've made some good signings. They need to make some more. Kudus is a terrific signing. Paulini is really sensible to come in the middle of that midfield and have the legs and the energy and the tenacity. So
they've lost Maddison.
Lost Kulusevski's still not right either, which is... You know, so I think they'll bring one or two more in. But I'd be absolutely gobsmacked. I mean, how could you not improve from last season? I think there'll be a big improvement.
Well, tonight they're without Yves Bissouma, whose watch appears to stop on a regular basis because he's been late, according to Thomas Frank, late one time too many.
He's been late several times, and now this time, latest time was just one too many. I think with everything, you need to give your players a lot of love, also have demands, and there also need to be consequences. And this time there was a consequence for that.
I mean, Simon, on his first day of pre-season in 2023, Postecoglou told Bissouma he could be a leader in his team, and Bissouma showed up late the very next morning. He apologised, saying he had a flat tyre and there was a lot of traffic. Maybe there was. He was suspended last season after footage appeared to show him inhaling laughing gas. He apologised for, quotes, a severe lack of judgment. And now he's late one too many times for Thomas, and Thomas has hardly got his engine revved up. I mean, what is it? What does it say to you? Is this the kind of thing that really gets your goat?
Well, I mean, it gets the manager's goat because if I was an owner, I wouldn't be anywhere near it because it's the manager's responsibility to have his staff understand what they should and shouldn't do and engender a spirit in them where they appreciate their responsibilities. Clearly, the boy at this moment in state, at this time, despite the physical attributes that he may bring on a pitch, doesn't have the standards and the discipline and the responsible outlook to tell that the belief system that people have in his capabilities is being replicated in his mindsets. Because lateness is a choice. Tardiness is a choice. Irresponsibility of youth, well, that comes with youth. How old is the kid?
He's not young. No, he's mid-20s now at least.
Yeah, I mean, people mature at different rates, don't they? I mean, we see, with all respect to the subject matter, and I've got no issue with him, we saw Jack Grealish drunk as a skunk after Man City won the Cup or won the treble. And
it's patterns of behaviour. So if somebody's constantly breaking the rules, you got to get rid, unless they're so valuable to you from a footballing. But then you try and discipline them and bring them into line.
He's 29 at the end of this month.
There you go. So
29, yeah. So
the thing is, I still think to this day, one of the Houlier's biggest strength when he came into Liverpool, although there was a change of emphasis in training and all those things, was that the biggest change at that football club when he come in was discipline. It changed overnight, and he took no passengers with him. You weren't getting let off if you were repeat offenders. You were gone.
It's the culture you create, though, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, Manchester United had a culture which was based upon Ferguson having a very strict diet, and then you roll forward 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and you've got Rashford deciding not to go into training because he wants to go out and have a drink in Northern Ireland, or whatever else other players seem to think they do. Cunha coming into Wolves, the reported perspective on Cunha was he was a permanent late turner-upper, and some of the other players in the dressing room getting fed up with it. Now, we'll see if he does that at Manchester United. The culture which has enabled this player, too often players are institutionalised. They're allowed to get away with things and not told the truth, because the truth can't be told to players, because you can only praise, you can't criticise. I've always believed you've got to do both in equal measure and be fair and accurate and do it in a way to get the best from a player, because you bring character out of them by telling them the truth. This boy has probably been in environments where he's been allowed to get away with it. Even Ange Postecoglou has seemingly not communicated with him in a way that brought the best out of him. Now, Thomas Frank has given him 3 strikes, I suspect. On the 3rd strike, he's out, and he'll start again until he either accepts the principles of the environment he's playing in and working in, or he'll be shipped out. And that's his choice.
He'll be a wealthy boy, Danny. Will he be bothered?
I hope so, but there's a chance now. I think he's only got a year left, hasn't he? So maybe he's already thinking, I'm out of here.
Yeah, 1 more year.
I think if you are in that mindset where you're away, you're thinking you're away. So there's probably going to, they brought Paulina in. Bentancur's played ahead of him. They got Bergvall, a young boy. Gray can play in there. I think he's probably gone.
Yeah.
I think this is probably just the start of it. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the next week or 2.
Okay, UEFA Super Cup final in the Blue Energy Stadium, no less. Live in talkSPORT. Paris Saint-Germain against Tottenham. We're at 11.
As Lewis Hamilton, now at Ferrari, dares to dream of a record 8th F1 world title, the Tifosi will be hoping the Brits can bring glory back to Italy. To many, Ferrari and Formula One are inseparable. They're the only team in the sport today to have competed in the first World Championship in 1950, are the most successful team in history, and have built some absolutely gorgeous cars. Their first driver's title was won in 1952 by Alberto Ascari. Considered one of F1's most dominant and best-loved champions, he drove the iconic Ferrari 500 and defended his title the year after. It was Juan Manuel Fangio in his Ferrari 250 who secured the team's next driver's title in 1956. Remember, he was world champion 5 times with 4 different teams. Mike Hawthorne, Phil Hill and John Surtees also won titles for Ferrari in the 50s and 60s, and the cars back then were beautiful, and they even sounded great, didn't they? Anyway, Ferrari went 11 years without winning a title until Niki Lauda won in 1975 in the iconic 312T. Throughout much of the 80s and 90s, though, Ferrari looked like they'd never go all the way again. Le Professeur Alain Prost came pretty close in 1990, but lost out to his bitter rival and former teammate at McLaren, Ayrton Senna. It was only when John Todt recruited a swathe of staff from outside of Italy, including Michael Schumacher, that the glory days returned 21 years after their last driver's title. The turn of the century saw the prancing horse sprint to an unprecedented 5 consecutive championship doubles. And after Schumacher left, Kimi Räikkönen reclaimed the driver's title immediately. But despite employing 1,500 people, the Iceman remains the last Ferrari world champion. So, 16 constructors' titles, 7 more than McLaren, and 15 drivers' titles, 4 more than, again, McLaren. Ferrari are truly Formula One's top team. Forza Ferrari.
Good morning, everybody. 5 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT, streaming live on YouTube and your smart TV. For all the information on how to watch the show, just head to talksport.com/watch. The Premier League season is just around the corner. It all kicks off on Friday night, Liverpool against Bournemouth. Before that, our very own Danny Murphy is going to be in Liverpool and is going to get him face-to-face with Arne Slot. You can look forward to hearing Danny's chat with Arne Slot right here on talkSPORT. A big-name player heading to a big Premier League club. And it looks as if this is happening. I'm not talking about Alexander Isak to Liverpool. Danny, in the last few moments, David Ornstein, respected journalist, of course he is telling us that Leeds United have reached an agreement in principle to sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's a free agent after his contract at Everton expired. And of course, he is an England international. He's scheduled to be at Thorpe Arch very soon to do a medical and then complete a move. Calvert-Lewin to the New Boys Leeds. What do you think?
Well, it's a risk, isn't it? It's a big risk for them because his playing record's so poor. I'd have been tempted to go for somebody a bit more reliable in terms of games, but you could argue it from a different point, whereas Leeds are trying to find they can't compete with the big boys in terms of what they spend. So they're trying to find some Premier League experience and some know-how without breaking the bank. So if they can get him fit, it'd be a great addition because he's a talent. He's a strong boy, he can score a goal, he hold the ball up well, give them a focal point. But if he can't stay fit and play the games, then it's not going to be as beneficial as it may seem on paper. But I don't know, it's a I suppose it says where Leeds are. They haven't made a lot of signings. They haven't spent a lot. If you compared to what Sunderland are having a right go, aren't they?
Well, we can add to that. Funny you say that. It's been reported he turned down an offer from Sunderland to make them their highest paid player.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe the competition for places at Sunderland is higher, and because he is fit and he's raring to go, he thinks at least he knows who'll play at Leeds, because really they've got Perot, who played last year, got 19 goals, I think, in the Championship. He's a talent. He's probably thinking his game time would be more there. Sunderland have got a lot of players.
That would have made him the highest paid player at Sunderland.
And also,
he's opted for Leeds side.
Also, geographically, he's probably, obviously, he was at Everton.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't.
Well, Leeds. I mean, with due respect to Sunderland, Leeds are a bigger club than Sunderland.
They are, yeah.
Leeds have been in the Premier League in recent times. Sunderland haven't been there for a significant part of the last decade, have they? With changes of ownership, changes of direction, they've done remarkably well to get back up into the Premier League with this new manager and this new young owner that's done really well, because he's very forward-thinking. This young owner, I sort of parried him a few times about his age, but he made some really bold decisions. It tells you what Calvert-Lewin is in his career. That the only sides that seem to have wanted him were two promoted sides. So he's out of contract at Everton. He's a free transfer, cost them no real cost implication to get him in the first place, and the only people that will take him are two promoted sides that are being tipped for relegation.
Yeah. Ironically, he could make his debut on Monday night for Leeds against Everton.
I imagine that.
Live on talkSPORT. So Dominic Calvert-Lewin expected at the Leeds United training ground anytime soon, and he is all set to sign up at Leeds United.
One croc replacing another croc, streaky striker. You had Patrick Bamford, that was very often injured, more often than not, was streaky at times with his performances. Now you've got another one doing the same thing.
I suppose what you could say. I suppose what you could say.
He can bring his handbag with him.
That's enough. You never ever let that go, do you?
I don't blame him, to be fair. But you know if everyone had the attitude,
it was a handbag. It wasn't a handbag.
You've got one.
If all clubs had the attitude of never taking players who've had bad injury records, if you look at what Welbeck's achieved at Brighton after a really disastrous couple of years, sometimes the risk.
Yeah.
What is it?
John Hartson failed every single medical under the sun. I mean, okay, he ended up in Scottish football, which is what it is, but notwithstanding it, he still would have scored great goals.
Yeah.
So, and he would have failed every medical, and clubs were turning him down left, right, and centre because he couldn't pass a medical. Yet Celtic took a view, and he still went up there and scored a lot of goals and was pretty prolific in terms of appearances.
He failed the medical to join Rangers.
He did.
And then Martin got hold of him and put him into Celtic.
He failed a medical to go somewhere else, because I remember Charles Copper was the Wimbledon chairman. He used to share an office with me. So I remember watching Charles tearing his hair out because he wanted John Hartson to go.
You shared an office with somebody?
Office building.
I was going to say.
If Calvert-Lewin stays fit, he'll be their top scorer, I would imagine.
Oh, there you go.
But
and I hope he does.
I did.
Because I think he's more than a croc, with all due respect.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Yeah, we will see. You're right.
He said the same thing in a slightly more politely language. He said someone that's constantly injured, which is by definition a croc.
What we know this season is that we're going to see a record number of games televised live. 215 live matches on Sky compared to 128 last season, with a further 52 on TNT Sport. It all means all games not kicking off at 3 o'clock on Saturdays will be broadcast live. But the traditional blackout does remain for this 4-year broadcast cycle. And of course, piracy is always in the conversation here. Managing Director of Sky Sports, Jonathan Lake, said he hoped more games would mean less piracy. He says it's fair to say that Saturday 3 o'clock has been a point for piracy coming into this market from various places. Piracy is a very serious issue. There's a real concern that despite the illegality and the links to organised crime that is being normalised, that's dangerous for everyone in the industry, dangerous for its rights holders. Simon, what will drive down piracy? When you look at it, availability of games, or is it the bigger issue? Is it the price point?
Price point. I mean, I said this virtually word for word 5 or 6 years ago, which was open source software, Kodi open source software, which can create depositories for people to create opportunities to broadcast games, and it's been driven by organised crime. This is what we really want. And the reasons why we're at this point is because the broadcasters and football have driven the price up to such a point that if you can go and get a Fire Stick or an IPTV or whatever it is for a fraction of the price, what are you going to do? The genie's out of the bottle.
Well,
it's done.
Some of us wouldn't. We don't want to break the law.
No, a lot of people will do it. And I'm not saying all of us.
A lot of people do it.
A lot of people are doing it. So I wasn't talking about first person. I was talking about third person.
Yeah.
In the context of it will continue to be done.
So what drives it down?
Price point.
price point.
Yeah.
Do you think that is the 3 o'clock kickoffs on Saturday relevant?
No, rubbish, nonsense. I mean, Sky's subscriber numbers are going. Psh, there's a distinct possibility they might not even be at the table in 4 years' time to be able to buy the broadcast rights. And that's the challenge that football has, which is why the Premier League is starting to morph away. You've seen the overseas deal being taken away from IMG, and the Premier League starting to do this.
But there is a feeling that if you take away the 3 p.m. Blackout time kickoff, that will drive piracy down.
Why?
Because I think that's the
because it's available on TV,
right? But it's still got to pay for it.
To source it elsewhere.
You still got to pay for it.
Yeah, you still have to pay for it, but
it's a price point.
No, I see what you mean.
But it's
got nothing to do with it. Okay,
it's a key kick-off time, isn't it?
No, but what he's saying, what he's saying, Jim, is that at 4 o'clock on a Sunday, where's the Sky game, you can still watch that on your Fire Stick
for £5.
You're going to do it.
Of course you are.
It's not £5, is it?
Whatever it is. Whatever it is. I don't know what the price point is, but the fact of the matter is, if you're paying 70, 80, 90 quid a month.
Oh, sorry, to
watch football. It doesn't matter when it's broadcasted. And the piracy is still going to be hijacking the signal, hijacking the content, repackaging it, rebroadcasting it for a tenner.
Yeah.
The price point, it is nothing to do with anything else other than price point. That is a fundamental misunderstanding of the marketplace. It's a re-representation of the facts of the matter. It's a desperate ploy because their subscriber numbers are going through the floor. A fact, not some horrible conjecture.
So you don't agree that more games means less piracy?
No, of course not. It's the price point. More games to be pirated.
Yeah.
A fraction of the price. So all the pirates are going to do is more content, thanks very much, and we'll deliver it to you.
Well, also
for the same price point that we've been charging you, which is a tenner a month, or a £5 a month, or 50 quid for a Fire Stick, or whatever these people are charging.
Yeah, but quite rightly, Sky increasing the number of live games ain't going to give it away.
I didn't say they were.
You've got to pay for what you pay.
But how profitable? It's not. At the end of the day, I absolutely agree. Football's put itself in a position where it needs the kind of revenue that it's generating because it's giving it all to the players. It's given 90% of its revenue to the players on transfer fees, agents, or salaries, right? So now it needs this kind of money. Sky and broadcasters are sitting there going, we can't afford to buy football at this price point unless we recharge it on to A, the subscriber, and B, the advertisers. The advertising market on linear broadcasting is dying on its arse. Subscriber numbers are going through the floor. There's a real challenge coming. A real challenge coming.
And they can't reduce even if they wanted to reduce the subscription, they can't because they've already delegated the money.
Allocated the money,
allocated.
But also, I mean, I don't know how profitable Sky are. Is it the subscriber's responsibility to make sure that Sky are incredibly profitable because they have been profitable before? And the reasons why Comcast brought Sky and have turned it into what it is now, which is a poor imitation of what it was before, virtue signalling its way for every single subject matter and alighting upon everything that it can get.
In your view,
in my view,
you've got a strong view.
I'm not speaking for other people. I'm speaking for my view. And my view is that Sky are a poor imitation of themselves, spend their time introducing influencers into the roles of experts, and give us an opinion that you can get off the back of a fag packet. And the ramification of that is that they're now losing subscribers at the same time as they're being challenged massively by piracy. And the irony of it is that with due respect to my newfound mates in Saudi, they were at the front of the queue for piracy out of Saudi. Now they're talking about, we don't think the pay-per-view should be done anymore because pay-per-view was a big part of piracy, which you guys did in Saudi through BOutQ and had to pay BA and £1 billion in compensation, which is why Newcastle were allowed to be bought in the end.
Well,
Jim, Sky's demise was when they got rid of you.
Thank you very much, Danny. Thank you, and that was very kind of you.
But it's got nothing to do with that. Jim, to go to the bottom line, give them more games that they can pirate. And they'll pirate more games, and then they'll charge the same price. And what's the argument then? The price point is the reason why people aren't buying Fire Sticks and doing piracy because it's a time of day that they're watching it. They're doing it because it's a fraction of the price. For Sky, I don't know.
It's about 100
quid. I don't even look at it.
100 quid. Or
something like that.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you're getting a record number of live games.
You're getting more for your buck.
You're getting more for your buck. Exactly.
But that's not the question.
But there are always those who will break the rules.
But that's not the question.
And that's up to them, and I hope they get caught.
Because the price
But at the end of the day, 215 live games on Sky compared to 128 last season, that's pretty darn good. And something to look forward to.
Yeah, but that's not the question you asked. And that's not the framework of the conversation. We all know it's pretty darn good. We all know that Sky has built football. We know that football as an industry has had massive benefit for the Sky revolution. Sky themselves have had massive benefit. That wasn't the question. The question is it going to stop the situation around piracy? And the answer to that question is a fundamental no. Because why would it?
It's going to enhance.
It's going to create more demand for piracy because people can pay less and get more.
Yeah.
All starts this Friday. Liverpool against Bournemouth. All kicks off and gets underway then. Certainly, even though I was at Sky for many years, I pay, of course, every month to watch what I should pay, what everybody should pay every month to watch the product. We are at 11:17. And Danny, I'm still trying to go over your kind words, and that was delightful of you. We're live in talkSPORT. It is indeed PSG against Spurs tonight, live. UEFA Super Cup final from the Blue Energy Stadium in Italy, live on talkSPORT. From football to rugby, alongside Simon, it's Danny Murphy, but we're joined by the Premiership's Rugby Chief Executive, Simon Massey-Taylor. And Simon joins us for a specific reason, because Newcastle are the first rugby union club to become part of the Red Bull Sable, and now will be known as Newcastle Red Bulls. The Austria-based company already has significant investments in football and F1, of course, and other winter sports. And now it's time to get involved in rugby. I mentioned Simon Massey-Taylor is joining us live, the Chief Exec of Premiership Rugby. Simon, good morning. How big, how important a development is this for domestic rugby?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yes, big. Rebels investment is a massive endorsement for the Prem and for rugby. They believe in our vision and the potential of the league, and they've got really big ambitions for Newcastle Red Bulls.
Is it really also because, Simon, not to put too fine a point on it, in recent years, domestic rugby has been struggling financially?
Yeah, domestic rugby's had a tough time coming out of the pandemic. It got hit massively in terms of the losses they had to incur, the money they had to put into the system to keep things going. And obviously, coming out of the pandemic, it had its challenges, and we had clubs that went bust as a result of it. I think since then, over the last couple of years, we've seen a huge amount of growth in the league, and we've been working hard to build the foundations under it so that we can make clubs and rugby as investable as possible. So I think the fact that we've got to this stage and an investor, a company like Red Bull has come in is testament to the work we've done and the trajectory we're on.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. What is it that attracts Red Bull to rugby, and particularly rugby?
Yeah, so Red Bull have... They've been pretty prolific, actually, in terms of investment within sport. It's a big part of their business. It's a big part of their brand. They believe in high performance. They've got a pedigree within it and taking underperforming teams, moving them to the next level. And they see a lot of potential within rugby. I think rugby for them is, and I've worked with them previously in rugby, as a sponsor, and they like the values of it. They like the intensity of it. The athletes they think are, awesome in terms of what they do, what they deliver, and the personalities that sit behind them. They've endorsed quite a few athletes in the past, Jack Noel, Sia Khaleesi. And so this really is a next step for them in terms of their ambition for the sport.
How does it represent a new frontier, Simon? Obviously, we've seen CVC do a deal with the Premiership a few years ago about media rights, and that was being heralded as an opportunity to build rugby and to get it seeded in a better position, and it hasn't really worked out that way. How does this situation give itself another feel of another opportunity for rugby?
Yeah, I think the timing of the CVC investment was unfortunate because essentially it was less than a year before the pandemic.
COVID, yeah.
So that capital just got sucked into surviving. Nevertheless, their commitment to it has stayed there, and they've been helping push a lot of this growth that we're seeing now. And so, that partnership has taken us to this point. But it's always predicated on the fact that you still need investment within these clubs, and that's not uncommon across other sports. And you need to get to a stage where you're constantly increasing standards and the product for the fans, for the broadcasters, for everyone else. And so we've been busy trying to create those foundations. But you take then someone like Red Bull with the expertise they've got, not only in high performance, but obviously in marketing as well. And people talk a lot about how rugby needs more oxygen. Rugby needs to be more appealing to a broader fan base. Players need to be amplified more. Red Bull do that constantly, every day. And so for that alone, that's a big impact on the sport and on the league. But if actually you sort of drill down to the impact they'll have on the sport within the region, so they're going to put a lot of effort and investment into the academy system in the Northeast. And if you think about how important the North is to rugby, there's a huge amount of talent that's there, and they're going to really lean into that. And you can imagine being a young, talented athlete who's wondering what sport to choose, or you've gone to university up in Newcastle or Durham, and you're looking to go to that next level. The attraction of becoming a Red Bull athlete and becoming a part of the Red Bull Academy is really cool.
Have you got other outfits like Red Bull knocking on the doors of other clubs, Simon? Is this the start of something?
Yeah, I believe it is. And I think we've still got some work to do and some more reform to make it as investable as it can be. But I think that just in the fact that Red Bull has come in is a big signal. But we're starting to see interest at all sorts of level in terms of investment in rugby. And that's great.
Because, Simon, as chief executive of Premiership Rugby, you know that you face challenges, outside challenges. Are you concerned by the breakaway league plans such as R360. Plans underway for this revolutionary franchise league that hopes to attract the game's biggest stars. It's headed up by Mike Tyndall, former Bath captain and director of rugby Stuart Hooper. Now, they're going to push you, aren't they?
Yeah, I think in sport we are seeing a lot of disruption, aren't we? And as I think that's accelerated over the last few years. And we've seen it within rugby before, and people, there was a concept of World 12s, if you remember, a few years ago. I think the truth is that it hasn't been launched. We're not clear as to exactly what they're pitching, essentially. But what we have heard is a set of ideas that that we're delivering in real life, and we're aligned with. In fact, bigger games, better fan experiences, big name players. But I think the key thing is that we've got momentum and we've got foundation. So I think it's important. I think within sport, whilst you've got the you've got the foundations, you've got the traditions, you've got the followings, you've got the regions. You need to self-destruct, I think, and the pandemic has obviously accelerated a lot of that. And whether that's changing of governance, or whether that's changing of commercial models, or everything else, or just marketing more. And I think we're doing that live.
I mean, Simon Tyndall's strong in it. He says domestic rugby's failed to capture the same level of interest and investment as international rugby. Is he right?
Yeah, I mean, that is a statement of fact in terms of where the club game is relative to the national game. Unlike football, where the Premier League is the primary, I guess, property that sits within it, and the national team sort of fits behind it on a lot of levels. Rugby's been the opposite for a while. But the key thing for us is the fact that we know that that gap should be shortened. You've got a really quality sport product league that fans want to watch. It's been a function of marketing. It's been a function of investment. And the good news is that we're bridging that gap. We're growing constantly year on year, and we're taking up the opportunity. And there's plenty of room to go on that.
Okay.
So people like Red Bull come in and take that opportunity.
Simon, thank you very much indeed. Simon Massey-Taylor is the top man, Chief Executive of Premiership Rugby, and we look forward to seeing how Newcastle Red Bulls do in this upcoming Gallagher Prem season. We're at 11:30.
Corinthian Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were absolutely sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England were dominating the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895, they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money, but instead of entering league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. Think of it like the Harlem Globetrotters of football, and it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil, and the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil.
Now then, the NFL returns to Wembley in October as the Los Angeles Rams take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and our competition to win VIP tickets is now open. That's right, we're giving you the chance to win 6 seats in a private box at Wembley with full hospitality plus $5,000 to spend. Now, you've got to be 18 and over, UK, excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338, and then you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You have to have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter it for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 25th of August at 11 at night. This is a talkSPORT Limited promotion run on talkSPORT Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com. How lovely. Now it's time for this.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
And for the first time as we go into this new season, our good friend at BetMGM, Sean Martin, joins us live. Sean, how have you been? How's your summer been?
Not bad, Jim. How are you, lads? Happy to be back in the hot seat, Jim?
Absolutely thrilled. We're in this great new studio, which is something else. What I would say, Simon, I don't know if you're with me on this. Danny, we had a view there. There was a wonderful window away to our right, and we could look out onto the Thames, and the boats going up and down past my place, just further down the river. And now we don't have it anymore. We've got a huge telly there that says talkSPORT, Sean. We're denied the view. I wonder if either of you have a strong view on that. Denial of the view.
I do, but my newfound positivity that I'm bringing this season is not going to allow me to engage in that conversation.
I like the view of the corridor as well. People walking past and looking into the studio and all the different guided tours that they took around.
You enjoyed that as well.
I did enjoy that.
Yeah, you should.
I like the obscuring of the producer. I don't like to see his gormless face peering through the window too often, so I'm quite happy that I can see very little of that these days.
Yeah. So, Sean, that brings you right up to date with where we're at with the new studio. Where are you at with Paris Saint-Germain against Tottenham, the Super Cup, live in talkSPORT?
You've got the Thames, I've got the Clyde, Jim, which, as we know, is a better view. But yeah, interestingly, it's Tottenham's first Super Cup. Even though they've won 4 European trophies, it just wasn't a thing when they won the Cup Winners' Cup in the 60s, and the UEFA Cup winners didn't play in it when they won that competition in 72 and 84. They're floating between 5.5, 6-1 to win in 90, and 3-1 to lift the trophy, with PSG heavy favourites at 2-5 in 90 and 1-4 to lift the trophy, which has gone to the Champions League winners 11 of the last 12 times. It's PSG's second Super Cup, and it would be their 5th trophy this calendar year. Notably though, lads, Chelsea beating PSG in the Club World Cup final prevented the French side from becoming the second club ever to win 5 trophies, including the European Cup, in one single actual season. Do you know the only other club to do that, or the only club to do that by any chance? There's a hint here if you need it.
Celtic?
Celtic.
Yeah, see, I knew it was going to be too obvious if it was me asking it first and foremost, but yeah, Celtic, of course it was. Did you know that one, Jim?
Celtic winning it, the Super Cup. Who did they beat, as a matter of interest? I remember years ago they used to play. They used to go to South America and play Estudiantes and Racing Club, Argentina, and people like that.
Yeah, so with Celtic, it was the League, the Scottish Cup, the Glasgow Cup, the League Cup, and the European Cup. They never won the Super Cup the next season. They took to a replay from Racing Club. Quite a lot of sendings off, actually. It was quite a controversial tie, I think. Yeah.
The Glasgow Cup.
Good knowledge, Jim.
Yes, the Glasgow Cup, Simon. Don't be sniffing at that, though, because it was had to beat Rangers. Had to beat Rangers in it. They won. They got to the Cup Winners' Cup final that year. So, arguably the best season for Scottish clubs in Europe that season, and Celtic still clean sweep domestically and won the
Let's
European.
pick him up on that, Sean. What's wrong with the Glasgow Cup, as you say?
No, but it's not really a significant trophy, is it? So we're going to make
it's like having a Liverpool Cup, a Manchester Cup.
Is this significant tonight?
Not hugely, is it?
It's a nice one to win.
Yeah.
More so if you're the
If you've got an empty trophy cover that's just had one trophy in it for the last 20 years, it was nothing nice for Spurs, wasn't it?
It's a bigger deal for Spurs than PSG, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Danny's saying that as presumably were you part of the Liverpool team that won it as the UEFA Cup winners?
Yeah, we beat Bayern Munich, and they had a good side. I don't know if we expected to beat them. It felt nice. Give us a bit of confidence going into the season.
I love the way he just says that off the top of his head. Yeah, we beat Bayern Munich. Love that, Dan. Love that about you. So humble. So PSG Tottenham tonight. I hope Tottenham win it, get another European trophy. That would be good. What about the EFL Cup first round action last night? There's plenty of it.
Yeah, a few surprise results last night, including Doncaster's own Matt Gibson's Aka being let down by, funnily enough, Doncaster.
Oh, good.
They beat Middlesbrough 4-0 away from home. And must say also a word for Bradford getting a first win at Ewood Park in 104 years. That Doncaster-Bradford double was around 14-1 or so. Just the 5 games tonight, Birmingham versus Sheffield United, probably the pick of the bunch. The Blues slight favourites there at 57-50, but really hard to call. So if you take the other 4 favourites to win as a fourfold, that comes out at 7.5-1. So that's League One Bolton over Championship Sheffield Wednesday, with everything kind of going on there at the moment, as well as Exeter to beat Cheltenham, Barnsley over Fleetwood, and Leicester over Huddersfield, 7.5-1, Jim, for that.
Okay. I actually thought they were good the other night, but Birmingham in their first game. I know Ipswich got that ridiculous lucky penalty in the end, but Birmingham played well.
Looked all right. And with Danny here, we can talk with confidence about the BMW Golf Championship. What are you thinking, Sean?
BMW Championship at Caves Valley in Maryland. Top 50 invited, though only 49 playing, I believe, since Sepp Straka withdrew. And the top 30 after this event will play the Tour Championship. Last time it was held here, Patrick Cantley beat Bryson DeChambeau at a 6th playoff hole. It's 4-1 for a playoff winner this time, which I'm always quite partial to, actually. And it did happen last week at the St Jude. Justin Rose, the winner there, is 45-1 to double up here. You've got JJ Spawn, runner-up to Rose at 33s, and right up at the top of the list, obviously, Scotty Scheffler at 5-2, and Rory McIlroy back after taking last week off, and behind him at 15-2. A clutch of big names currently outside the top 30 and need a big performance, Danny, the likes of Matt Fitzpatrick, Xander Schauffele. Where's your head at with it? Who you looking at for the BMW?
Well, I think a couple of value for money bets would be Fitzpatrick. He's playing really well, and maybe Cam Young as well. After he got his first win, his confidence is up. He's playing really well. The obvious protagonist, of course, Scheffler's. I mean, even when he plays averagely, he's coming second in, so it's just ridiculous.
You love Scotty, don't
Fleetwood's playing great, just can't get over the line. Yeah. But yeah, maybe Fitzpatrick or Cam Young will be good value. What price are they?
Yeah, Cam Young was 25-1, but we've nudged that out to 33-1 actually. And yeah, given the Wyndham Championship win, got the monkey off his back in terms of getting over the line. And there's also the carrot of maybe a Ryder Cup captain's pick in the near future. Could be a good shout. Fitzpatrick 40th in the FedEx Cup standings, I think, so needs a big performance to make the Tour Championship next week. He started the morning at 33-1, but again, we've nudged him out a bit. So he's actually 40-1 now. If anyone fancies going with one of Danny's picks here,
Sean, thank you very much indeed. Tell Matt Gibson we're delighted. His ACCA blew up in his face. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app. 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
The other half of the old firm, as Sean is well aware, Rangers lost last night in the second leg of their Champions League qualifier to Victoria Pilsen. They lost by 2-1, but the job was done really at Ibrox, previously 3-0, so they go through 4-2 in aggregate, and now face another Champions League playoff tie against Club Brugge for a place in the competition proper. Russell Martin says what he means and means what he says. He spoke post-match.
I said to the guys, we have to bring both sides of the game. So when the second half, when we scored, we actually played some really good stuff, scored a goal, and then almost switch off again. It's like, okay, it's fine now. And we just can't do that. We have to be really relentless. So I'm disappointed with the performance, disappointed with the result, but there's lots to build on, and we just need to be cleaner with the ball. So again, another brilliant bit of learning. We're through to the last qualifying round for the Champions League, but I am annoyed. It's my job to be annoyed at some of the stuff. And also, we'll show them some of the really good stuff as well. But there wasn't enough. There's too many scary moments for the opposition that are really we can do better with.
I mean, there were grumblings over his style at Southampton, Danny. Familiar grumblings over style here with some Rangers fans. They've conceded 27 shots last night, 21 of them coming from inside their penalty area. So you're going to live dangerously, aren't you, if you do that? Rangers conceded 97 shots in their 6 games so far at an average of 16 per game. So people will score against you, or at least get the opportunity to.
Yeah, the more expansive you are, the more vulnerable you can be, and he's got to find that balance. I'm sure he learned a lot from his time at Southampton. You know, he's a bright guy. If you don't learn on the job as you're going through your managerial journey, then you're not going to be in it for long. So he'll have learned a lot. I think they've suffered a little bit in the 2 league games because obviously they've had these important European games days before the league games. And to have constant fixtures at the beginning of the season when you're trying to build your fitness and trying to implement a new style, it's going to be up and down. It's going to be up and down. But he'll have to improve in the domestic league, of course, because that's really where the Rangers fans judge him.
This is it. I mean, in Europe, you can't go through against Panathinaikos and then the next thing you draw 1-1 at home to Dundee, with all due respect to Dundee.
That's the relentlessness of it. And as I said, at this stage of the season, when you're trying to mix that constant fixture or consistent fixture list with implementing new styles and trying to get players to form some relationships and do new things tactically, you are going to get some bumps in the road. So let's just wait and see. Like any manager, you've got to give him a bit of time to judge.
Yeah. And, time is something that he doesn't have a lot of because the first Old Firm game is already on the horizon, just weeks away.
Yeah.
It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We're live in talkSPORT. A lot to get through before we reach 1 o'clock.
Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
Let's pick out who's been the real deal this week with Selco Builders Warehouse. And I would think it would have to be one Jack Grealish. Can he be the real deal for Everton and David Moyes? He's gone there. The deal is done. He was wearing an Everton jersey last night when I saw the news announced, and he is in at Everton and the new stadium and everything else that goes with it. This was Jack on the move.
To be back playing in the Premier League, you know, I think the last 2 seasons I've not really played as much as I wanted to at all. So yeah, hopefully, you know, I can come here and play and get my rhythm and show what I'm all about. I think, you know, even when I spoke to the manager, he says he wants me to, you know, in the final third be creative, and I feel like I want to have that way about me where it's like I was before, where I had no fear. You know, sometimes you will lose the ball and miss chances, but then also, you know, you want to be able to play that killer pass and have an end product. So that's the main aim. And if I do all of that, I feel like I really will help this club.
It's fair to say, Danny, he's got a point to prove. How strong a motivator can that be?
Huge. Yeah, I mean, his success will be down to his attitude, application, you know, not getting frustrated. The biggest problem, when I went from Liverpool to Charlton, you have to temper your frustration at others who aren't quite at the level of the lads you're used to. But I think Moyes is trying to bring in a different type of player. If you look at Dewsbury Hall, they've already got Ndiaye. I do think he's going to try and play a bit more. As long as Jack's in the middle of the pitch, he's less reliant in the middle of the pitch on others than when he's wide. When you play wide in any side, you're always reliant on others.
Where is he best?
He's best as a 10.
Is he?
With good legs behind him.
Right.
So he doesn't have to concentrate too much defensively. I mean, he's not scared of hard work. I mean, I think that's one thing that definitely did improve at City.
I mean, he says he wants to get back to playing with no fear. Was he playing with fear at City?
I think restriction rather than fear. The restriction you get under Pep, you know, the rules are set, really. Losing the ball often is not something Pep likes. Whereas now he'll probably get more. Nobody wants to lose the ball.
Docker is a player that seems to have taken Jack's position. He's a player that takes on players and takes risks, isn't he?
He is, yeah. But he's a bit more dynamic than Jack.
Did it better than Jack, didn't he? Or for what? Pep
Well, I actually thought Jack's performance in the treble-winning season was outstanding.
So did I.
Offensively and defensively.
Yeah, defensively, I thought he was a different player.
So I think the problem is with Jack out wide is he's not super quick. And I think the wide players now need pace. Yeah. Because the fullbacks are getting quicker. You've got to be really dynamic. I think Pep's gone that way. He brought in Savinho and Doku, both flying machines. If Jack plays as a 10 for Moyes...
Has he got that clever ball in him to play as a 10 in terms of round the corner ball?
Yeah.
Has he?
He can play round corners, yeah.
You said that this move's got a bit of jeopardy to it.
Because I think it has, yeah. But I think the interesting thing is that he was bought for 100 million quid, which has got nothing to do with him. But I don't think he ever really established himself at Manchester City. If you look at his period of time, and I thought he was great in the season where they did the treble. And I remember watching him against Arsenal at the Emirates in that game where Arsenal went toe-to-toe with them. And Jack Grealish showed a different dimension to his game. He worked for the team. I know he came on in that game, but he showed a different dimension to his game. But I think as a £100 million footballer, he never looked like a £100 million footballer. He never swaggered like a £100 million footballers often do. And you think they
he's
would
always had swag.
No, got swagger, but I think that's a different kind of swagger. That's kind of goes with the territory of Jack Grealish because he looks the part. But the actual belief system of a real top player that knows he demands to be in the side, expects to be in the side, and is in the side, and he wasn't at City. And this is now a move. This is not a progression for Jack Grealish. This is you're going out to Everton, and I like Everton as a football club, and they've got a wonderful new stadium, and that may be a lightning rod alongside Daniel Freakin's ownership to take him into different places. But let's be clear, Everton have been languishing around the bottom of the table, having challenges for the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of it because of bad ownership and bad financial management, but that's where they've been. And they needed to get David Moyes to come in and do what David Moyes does. Now, I made the point yesterday that whether Jack would be given the latitude to do the things that Moyes might want him to do, they didn't do at West Ham. David made a choice at West Ham, and it got him eventually out of the door. And there were players at West Ham that people then began fed up with, which is, hang on, he has got talented players like Paqueta and Kudus that can get on the ball and do certain things, but David didn't want to play that.
That word that you used, Simon, jeopardy, it was interesting on breakfast. Gabby Bonlahor leapt on that, where Simon, this was Gabby.
Simon doesn't know him and doesn't know like how frustrated he was at not playing. I don't know Raheem Sterling. I don't know Jadon Sancho. I don't know these other players that he's talking about. And maybe he's right with their transfers. It didn't work. But I can tell you something. This is a player who is excited like you wouldn't believe to play football, to train during the week and have a reward at the end of the week of I'm going to be playing. I'm going to be playing in a team that, yes, they've got work to do in the transfer market, but Dewsbury Hall, I really like him, goes into that midfield. You've got Ndiaye on the left-hand side. They've kept hold of Bramthwaite. Yeah, Bramthwaite stays on a new contract. You start to look at this Everton team and you're like, okay, this team's going places. Can they get a couple more through the window, especially in defensive areas? But he's going to be thinking to himself, you know what? Yeah, new stadium, iconic club. Look at the players that have played at Everton.
One of the things with Jack that he's going to enjoy is that teams will play Everton and go after them. So Jack's going to get the ball in much bigger spaces than he's used to see. Because City generally, every game they play at home, you're playing lock defences, block, low block and all that. Jack's going to get more space to show his stuff. Like when he was at Villa, we saw him being more dynamic and
less of the ball
and playing counter. Yeah, but that's fine. The one thing, the reason I think Jack will succeed is because his biggest strength, and he's arguably one of the best 2 or 3 in the Premier League at doing it, is keeping the ball. He's so strong and good with the ball. What he'll do is he'll give so much space to other Everton players. Now, the one thing where we get obsessed with stats, with forward players, Jack's stats have never been tremendous, even when at Villa. His numbers aren't brilliant. But what he does is he occupies other players so well that other Everton players' numbers will go up. And I know Moisey understands that. So he's not going to turn into 15 goals a season, Jack Grealish. It's not going to happen. But you'll see, what I think you'll see is a lot of other Everton players' numbers go up because of what he brings to them. He will be, I guarantee if he stays fit, he'll be Everton's player of the year.
Wowzer. So, Danny, you're going with Gabby of Bonlahor. And Gabby's saying, really, that you're off the mark, Simon, with this one.
Yeah, I may well be. I mean, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. The 2 examples that I gave, I'm assuming
they're good examples. I understand your theory, but
I backed up my argument, and it's not an argument based upon being a contrarian. It's looking at it going, a lot of these times these deals don't work out, and the reasons why is that players are going into different environments, they're going to different clubs, and I use 2 examples. Now, I like Dewsbury Hall, but I don't suppose, with due respect to Gabby, he's seen that much of Dewsbury Hall because he had a breakout season in the Premier League. He played in the Championship and was part of that side that Maresco obviously built, that he then left to go to Chelsea, took Dewsbury Hall with him. Dewsbury Hall never kicked a ball for Chelsea, barely, a couple of times in the Conference League.
Yeah,
so to say that ultimately he's going to be a success at Everton is probably something that might happen.
Yeah, but Gabby's putting you right about Jack.
Well, we'll see. No one's put me right.
What Gabby's saying?
The only person that can put me right about Jack is Jack, not Gabby's opinion.
What Gabby's To be fair to Gabby, I think what he's saying there, because he knows him, is that he's sensing this excitement and desire for him to go and succeed, right?
Yeah.
You could argue that Sterling, nearing the end of going to Arsenal, it was like his only option, and did he really have it in him to want to succeed again?
Maybe. Or
Sancho, we don't know. But I think what Gabby's saying there is that he senses this desire for him to go, and that is the key for Jack, because his ability is unquestionable.
We'll see. I'm not.
You might be surprised with this one.
I've never.
Will it work out?
Yeah.
I've never believed, and I will retain this belief, that Jack Grealish is anywhere near a £100 million footballer.
That's a different argument.
I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's anything but vaguely resembling what people think he is. I think he's a decent player. Player. I don't think he's a brilliant player. I think he's a decent player, but that's my view.
He is better than what they've got.
Well, that's not difficult. But that's not difficult because Everton didn't have a lot last year, did they?
No.
But then again, Gabby had a glittering career at the top level, and you scored a freak goal at Wembley.
Very true. Very true. But we've also listened to Gabby's opinions on lots of different things. So we'll see, won't we?
We'll see.
And he's excited for his mate.
Yeah.
It's hard to stand back and give an on it when you've got a vested interest.
He wants to back up. He wants to side with him, of course.
But the object of a conversation, and a frank conversation, is to be objective, not to be biased. Yeah. I don't care whether Jack Grealish is successful or unsuccessful. I've given an honest opinion as to the reasons why I think he might not be, and given some substance behind my argument.
So you don't think that Gabby's being objective?
Of course he's not being objective, because he wouldn't be talking this way.
I am, and I think he'll do well.
There you are. That's an objective argument.
Yeah.
Gabby's is not, but you're using Gabby as an opportunity to club me with.
Absolutely.
Whereas normally it gets Gabby that gets clubbed. It's like clubbing Bambi when you club Gabby, isn't it?
Now, that was our pick for this week's Real Deal with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the list of special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's Real Deals at selcobw.com.
There's a lot of talk about the independent football regulator. Some people love the sound of it, others don't. But what actually is it? And is it going to be any good for the game? In simple terms, it'll be an organisation not controlled by the Premier League, the EFL or the government, which will make sure all clubs are financially stable and don't rip off the fans. The aim is to make sure what happened to Bury, Derby and Reading doesn't happen again. Now, a significant reason clubs go under is because of dodgy owners financially mismanaging the club and running it into the ground. But in theory, these should be a thing of the past with the new regulator. They'll be able to use data from the National Crime Agency to perform stronger fit and proper persons tests and can even force owners to give up their stake in a club, which for certain supporters might be a welcome relief. It's likely good news for the EFL. The tension between them and the Premier League over a fair financial deal has been increasing in recent years. As it stands, talks have broken down. The Premier League backed out of recent negotiations, but the regulator will have the power to force through a deal, meaning more money for clubs lower down the pyramid. Now, this might sound simple, but in reality there's concerns this will open a legal can of worms, which could result in messy court cases involving the Premier League and the regulator. Parachute payments will be brought under the control of the regulator too. If they reduce them, it could mean a wider variety of clubs securing promotion to the top flight, but critics reckon it'll just mean the gap between the Premier League and EFL actually widens, as promoted clubs won't get as much money, which should normally be used to buy better players so they can compete. And current Premier League clubs have said if there were no parachute payments, they'd actually invest less, which would harm the quality of the top flight. And if clubs don't invest, then you'll get exactly what the EFL don't want, which is the same three clubs going down every year. And remember when Cardiff's owners changed the club's colours and badge? Well, in future, fans will have to approve any major changes to their club's heritage. Now that might all sound great, but do we really need it? Some say the downfall of Reading and Bury is an exception, not the rule. So as a whole, the most successful footballing pyramid in world football doesn't need regulation. They say it scares investors who can help grow the game. If those investors go elsewhere, well, the Premier League may no longer be the destination for the best players in the world. And others, well, they just don't trust politicians to appoint truly independent people to regulate our game.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is now officially Wednesday afternoon. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. A whole bunch of stuff to come your way in this final hour today. Not least, we're off to Saudi Arabia, where this weekend, live on talkSPORT, you'll hear how Moses Ituma gets on in his latest quest for boxing stardom. He's up against the hugely experienced Dillian White. Nick Ball is in action. David Adderley is in action. A whole bunch of British interest out in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia this weekend. Simon's alongside me, as is Danny. You're looking at me when you've got something to say. And you
I was looking at you
quickly.
You
kind of look at me, stare me down, and you say,
"No, something was passing through my mind."
Invite me on. What was passing through your mind?
I was playing paddle tennis last night, and I discovered that David Adderley plays at that paddle tennis club and is quite good at paddle.
All right. So is David Adderley a future opponent of your good self?
May well be. Apparently Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank is going to be a future opponent as well.
Who's the biggest name you've beaten in the world of paddle tennis? Did you play Beckham and Neville when we were out in Qatar?
No, I've avoided Neville like the plague, didn't I? You know I did. But Kaka.
You beat Kaka?
Yeah. Clivert. He got all upset about it, didn't he? Because we said about the next day about bashing up Patrick Clivert.
I remember that. I remember that. Have you played any tried and tested paddle tennis players?
Yeah, I played with the British number 1, didn't I? I won the inaugural paddle tournament in this country. I played with the British number 1.
Hang on a second. You played the British number 1?
No, I played with the British. You played
with?
I played with the British number 1 and beat Chris Robshaw, the England rugby captain, in the final of this tournament, and he played with the British number 2.
So what did you win? You won the first?
Yeah, first paddle tournament that was played, post-celebrity whatever it was.
So you scored the first goal at Wembley.
See,
you won
all this parodying and ridiculing and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't serve you well.
Who was the celebrity in your team?
No, I don't know. I don't exactly.
That's incredible. You played tennis at County Standard, as I remember. Who was it you told that to?
Nobody.
12 handicapper at golf.
13.
Oh, yeah.
13, I said.
You've played against Djokovic. You scored the first goal
paddle tennis against Djokovic.
Yeah, but you're missing the biggest one.
What's that one?
The skateboarding.
Indeed.
And you skateboarded for GB.
No, I didn't. For Benji Board, a professional skateboard team. Get your facts right. Get your facts right.
And just before I finish, you played at one stage in your life, you played off an 8 handicap at golf.
13. Where'd you get 8 from?
13.
8 is your IQ. 13 is what I got.
13's not bad then.
Not bad.
That's all right.
Is it?
Yeah.
She was. Okay.
I mean, there's
8-year-olds. You cannot
pings.
There's 8-year-olds at my club who are
Callaways and pings, I think.
6, so yeah.
You're not quite in the territory of the former North Korean premier who said he had 3 holes in one round. But you're not far from it. Labour,
my tall tales,
say they will fast-track legislation to ensure powers of the new independent football regulator go live by November the 1st. So they're in the mood to get this whole thing going. And why is that? Under the new bill, owners can be stripped of their right to run clubs by having the licence removed, with the regulator being able to sanction takeovers at a price of their choice. So in other words, it's taken out the hands of the owner, the same owner who's caused all the problems. The move by the government is hoped to increase the pressure on under-fire owners, such as Daifon Chansiri at Sheffield Wednesday, to sell the club before the regulator becomes legally established. This can only be a good move, can it not?
Well, you know that I don't like the idea of football regulators.
I know that, but it gives it a sense of urgency that it needs.
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't read the latest incarnation of the Football Governance Bill. I read its original format and debated it with Damien Collins, who's the former head of the DCMS, because I was fundamentally against it and still am. And I understand that the reasons that there is some strength to the argument and why people will subscribe to it is because of distributions, i.e. a fairer distribution in people's minds about the TV money going across more clubs than just the 20 in the Premier League.
But here's a solution to the Chansiri problem, for example.
Well, it isn't. I asked the question, who funds the challenge? If you've got an owner that refuses to bankroll the requirements of the club, and there was a requirement upon him to do so, where's the money coming from to fund it when he's not there? Well, because the regulator's got a budget of £10 million, right? Which, by the way, is not a serious budget for any kind of regulator. You cannot govern a sport or industry with a budget of £10 million. It's pathetic. Now, the one thing they've got on their side is they've got a very capable individual in David Cogan who's been appointed the chair.
Have you met this fella?
I may well do in the future. because I'd like to have a conversation with him, because I'd like to be educated a little bit more about my resistance to the idea, because I'm very resistant to the idea of regulation. I'm a free marketeer. I'm a libertarian. I believe in, ultimately, that the market and capitalism, but I also believe in responsible ways to do it. And I think football's become irresponsible. Nobody, I don't care how many times you will Rick Parry in here, how many times you will Trevor Birch in here, none of these people want a regulator. They all think that the FA is a disgrace and should have been doing the job in the first place, but they all want it because of one reason, which is get more distribution. But again, I asked the question. They fast forward the football governance bill, because Labour talk a good game on everything and deliver very little right now on every walk of life, and that's not an unfair discussion. It's a reality.
So did your lot before, though.
No, not my lot. I vote for people and policies, not for parties. And I think both of them have been a disgrace. But going to the situation that we're talking about now, how does somebody, who's going to pay for Sheffield Wednesday? Clearly there needs to be some funding in there.
No, but Simon, the key thing is this. Chansiri, there have been offers for the football club.
Says who? Says people on Twitter.
Says Chansiri. Chansiri has said, but the offers haven't been enough.
No.
Now, that will be taken out of his hands. And under this new bill, it won't be the owner.
That would need a change in
the decision will be made away from that owner.
That will need a whole raft of changes that I'm not sure that it actually does.
Hence the new bill.
I'm not sure actually that this is right, the representation that you can determine exactly how much a club can be bought and sold for. That's not right. Because in no other industry, no other walk of life can anybody, let alone a regulator, determine what a private business can be bought and sold for. What they can determine is who buys it, and are they of a valuable or legitimate entity that isn't generating revenue from nefarious sources. That's not the object of the regulator.
But you now need a licence to buy a football club under this new rule.
But there's a different dynamic to that.
And that can be taken away from you.
Well, the licence is based upon a variety of different things, which includes the weighting of the boards, who goes on those boards, and a licensing fee, which
Simon,
in part will service.
The status quo ain't the answer, is it?
Why?
Look at Sheffield Wednesday.
Right, so you're going to tell me over 130 years of football, an industry that has changed beyond all recognition, a very few exceptional items of challenge for clubs, and I value football clubs, having been involved in administration, bought a club from administration, lost one to administration, so I know what I'm talking about. This industry is not immune to the rigours. The only reason it becomes a different dynamic is because of it's a community-based product. And wait and see when the next evolution, the next turn of the wheel, when the regulator and the governance of football starts to turn the Premier League into a selling league, you see what happens with the big clubs. You see what happens to English football when that challenge comes down the pike. But to go to your question right now, the big question is, what do you do today with Sheffield Wednesday? Because you're advancing the conversation about Sheffield Wednesday.
Right.
What does he do today? And if you believe that he goes in there in the interim period for the next 4 or 5 months, it takes somebody to buy a football club, irrespective of whether Chansiri wants a certain price and he can't get it, who's going to fund it between now and then? Who's going to run it between now and then? An independent regulator. Who's going to run the football club? I'm not saying that Chansiri's doing it, because Chansiri right now, the thing with Chansiri, and I can't understand, is can he do it or won't he do it? Because it appears he can't do it anymore. It appears that economically he cannot meet the obligations he's taken on.
The same fellow at Reading, same kind of situation.
Well, no, he seemed to be setting the place on fire. I mean, he just seemed to be destroying everything around him.
Well, funnily enough, the fellow that was in this studio, not this studio in the second floor some weeks ago, was John Textor, the man who, of course, was central to the headache, the big headache that developed for Crystal Palace regards Europa League or Europa Conference League football. We know how that turned out. But John Textor, nonetheless, is still an extremely wealthy individual. And I asked him, you fancy buying Sheffield Wednesday?
Look, I think, Sheffield Wednesday to me is the example of what's wrong with English football, because they should still have a chance at winning a championship every year, and they don't, right? So this, when we say, oh, Manchester City, they had this historic win. Well, no, they're not really historic when you have that kind of advantage. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to see the rules allow a Sheffield Wednesday to, win the Premier League again. I don't know if that day will ever happen.
So I know you're in touch with them.
Well, I suggested it to John. Now, whether the Sheffield Wednesday fans will thank me for it, and I suggested it to Turkey Al Sheikh, because I think it's a club that's got immense potential if it were run properly with the right energy and the right determination.
You heard from Textor?
Yeah, and I think there is an interest. I certainly told him don't do it with Keith Harris, because I think Keith Harris is a waste of time. But if he is, it's up to him. But
football financier.
Well, yeah, only football financier never does any deals. The relationship he's got with someone else. Whether John's seriously interested, I know he wants to buy an English football club. And I am happy to talk about Sheffield Wednesday because I thought when I was there, I watched them. I think this is one of those big clubs that if it were properly galvanised, look at when they played Peterborough and that playoff semi-final where they overcome massive adversity, lost the first leg 4-0, didn't they, or something, and then won the second one 5. And the 30-odd thousand fans in the stadium for a League One playoff semi-final. That club has scale, opportunity, and energy. It's a big football club, and I don't understand why it's not being run the way it should be being run. It's not easy. I'm not suggesting it's go to A and get to B and you're automatically at C, but there doesn't seem to be. I mean, when I bought Palace was a decent-sized football club. I decided I wanted to put them in the Premier League inside 5 years. I did it in 4. Now, I didn't keep them there, but I got them there. Sheffield Wednesday haven't been there for 25 years. What was different about Palace and Sheffield Wednesday? What's different about Palace than Bristol City and Steve Lansdowne and all his money? At that time, it was me and my drive and determination who I put in place. So why haven't Sheffield Wednesday got somebody that's prepared to do that? Now, Chancery's put some dough in there, but he's not done it the way he should have done it. And I think if someone really got hold of this football club, really galvanised, first of all, they'd be supported by everybody in the town. Of course, football fans change their mind pretty quickly. And you're seeing Newcastle fans now bitching and whining about their ownership model. 4 years ago, they hated Ashley. Now, because the Saudis aren't doing enough, they're beginning to go on the term, or some of them are, with the Saudis. So it's a thankless task. But I think if you got hold of Sheffield Wednesday with the scale of that football club, the fan base that's there, the heritage, history and legacy of that club, you could really catapult it.
Would Textor be the answer?
Well, John is an interesting bag, isn't he? Because he's a businessman. And he's using sport as a vehicle for opportunity. So some would say that doesn't make him a football man. And sometimes he's a bit light on detail. But there is a serious interest in Sheffield Wednesday. And I'd like to see Sheffield Wednesday being pushed, really pushed. So Textor is better than what they've got. Some people might say, well, that's a fire. That's like jumping out of the frying pan into the fire, isn't it? I'm not sure that's right. I'm not sure that you can lay the blame at Textor for what happened at Palace and say, oh, there's a bad example. But you have got other situations like Lyon. And then John will point to Botafogo, won't he? He'll say, well, hang on a second, what about Botafogo? That's a success. So shut up, you lot.
Are you still talking to Turkey Al Sheikh about Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've spoken to him about a variety of football clubs. And he will do what he wants to do. But there are a few football clubs out there that would really pique my interest. Really pique my interest if I were to get involved in something. And Sheffield Wednesday would be one of them.
Okay. Nonetheless, Labour say they will fast-track legislation to ensure the powers of the new independent football regulator to go live by November the 1st. It'll be on us before we know it.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Buy now at dazn.com/boxing.
A lot of people are basically just saying like, yeah, I'm going to knock him out.
Moses Ituma can take him out right now.
And like, I probably would.
Everyone tells me that he is the future. This kid is going to be the next face of British boxing.
I've said this from the beginning, from when he was 18, 19. He's it. He is it.
Moses Ituma!
I keep proving people wrong and it's kind of weird. I'm going to have to prove them right this time.
There's no way the fight should continue. Moses Ituma!
Ready to dust up and have it.
This fight here, make a break.
Let's go! I'm ready!
This Saturday, DAZN brings you 5 huge fights in one night. Unbeaten rising star Moses Ituma takes on the proven and dangerous Dillian White in a heavyweight showdown, plus action from Nick Ball, David Adelaide, Raymond Ford and Filip Hrgovic. Don't miss it. This Saturday, August the 16th, you can watch it only on DAZN. It is live with us right here on talkSPORT. Let's head out to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where I'm being told it's 43 degrees this lunchtime, 109 degrees in old money. Spencer Oliver, you must be feeling it somewhat hot out there, mate. How are you doing?
How are you doing, gentlemen? Yeah, it is very, very warm out here, but obviously the air conditioning is great on the inside, so spending a lot of time inside at the moment.
Not bad. Spencer, you're looking well. Everybody watching on YouTube and your smart TV, you can see Spencer speaking to us, having joined us live from Riyadh. What are we talking about? Is there an open workout later today, Spencer?
Yeah, we had the grand arrivals last night and we've got the open workout this evening. We get a chance to look at the guys, look at what sort of shape they're in now. I caught up with a lot of them yesterday and, yeah, I thought they all looked in great shape. You know, Moses Ituma knows the pressure that's on his shoulders here. He's a young man of 20 years of age and now to be headlining. He's boxed out in Saudi before. They've started preparing him for this big night, but he's going in against a proven guy in Dillian White. OK, Dillian's not looked great in his last couple of fights. He looked out of shape, actually, against Ebenezer Teti last time out, but he is in phenomenal condition. He recognises this is the last roll of the dice, and he's going for it. And I tell you, he's very emotional out here as well. I think he's been upset by some of the things that I've said, some of the things that Simon said, and most of the boxing fraternity as well, you know, just saying that it's going to be sort of a one-horse race, if you like, and it's all about Moses Ituma and how quickly he gets the job done. But Dillian White said he's got other ideas about that. He said, look, I've been the underdog many times before and I've pulled it off.
Interesting. What did you say that upset him? Actually, more importantly, what did you say that upset Dillian White?
I said it's good night, Mr. White. That's what I said. I said it's not light at the end of a tunnel for you, Dillian. It's the train, and the train is Moses Ituma.
I mean, is he being overlooked in any way? A bit, you know, like talk like that. Simon's giving Dillian White next to no chance. Are you the same, Spence?
Well, look, I think in boxing, it's all about timing. You know, we've got a young kid here who's an exceptional talent. You know, you go back, not many of these come along. So, you know, we talk about comparing him to a young Mike Tyson. He's a southpaw, he's quick, he's slick, and he whacks. He's very, very spiteful. He's very good at setting traps. And you look at all of that, you put it together and you go, this kid is exceptional. One thing we don't know, and Simon, I think, has talked about this as well, is he's not been tested, he's not been hit on the chin. Dillian White can whack, and he's in great shape. And I think that Dillian's going to take this fight and go in there and go, you know what? He's going to roll the dice and punch when, you know, Moses does. And I think that is the importance here. Dillian's got to take the chance early. But, yes, he is being overlooked, and that can be a danger for a fighter to overlook them. I don't think Moses Ituma and Ben Davis and his team are overlooking him. But I think that general boxing fraternity are seeing this as a pretty one-sided fight.
But also, Spence, they've opened this commentary up to some extent. You know, one of the things that you and I were trying to evaluate was the motivation for Dillian White to take this fight, because the conventional wisdom is that Atoma's on his way up. Nobody wants to be a punch bag for him, and Dillian White's been brought in as a resume builder. Dillian doesn't even know that this fight, or didn't even know that this fight could lead him to a world title shot if he wins it, because he goes in as number one if he beats Moses Ituma, and then potentially fights a vacated belt with Joseph Parker 3 months down the road. And also, you've got Buddy McGirt turning around and saying he doesn't watch the opposition. So both of those things have led us to a conclusion that what's the motivation here? What Dillian White are we going to get in this fight? You and I want to see Dillian White come out in the fourth round after taking a few whacks, looking across the ring at Moses Ituma saying, "You're in a fight, son."
Do you not get paid more if you win?
Well, not really, is it?
Yeah,
Spence?
listen,
it's not a win
great
bonus.
points. No, you don't know that. They've got their purses. That's what it is. But you made a great point there, Simon. And all I can think, but look. He's an old guy, Dillian White. He's been around the block. He's been at that top level. And you go, mind games plays a big part in this game now. And he recognises that Moses is the kid that's being talked about. Is he just playing mind games? He's got himself in phenomenal shape. I've never seen Dillian White in all the years I've known him. I've known him way back, going back to the days when he boxed Anthony Joshua as an amateur. I've never seen him in the condition he's in right now. And I tell you, he's in that sort of mood. He's very, very edgy. He's very snappy. He does recognise where, you know, it is the last chance saloon. But are they playing mind games? That's where I'm at with it.
OK. Well, if he's not happy with you, Spencer, and he's not happy with Simon, I don't think he was particularly happy with the fellow on the microphone yesterday at the Grand Arrivals when the announcer said, "And will you welcome," and meant to say Dillian White with his nickname, the Body Snatcher. This is what he said.
Please welcome one of the most prominent and charismatic heavyweights of the past decade and the former WBC interim world champion, Dillian, the Baby Snatcher White.
The Baby Snatcher. How did that go down with Dillian, Spencer?
Oh, I've got to tell you, mate, I've not had a chance to speak to him, you know, since I interviewed him the other day. That's out on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. You can see that one. You can see what sort of mood Dillian's in. But, yeah, fancy that, being called the Baby Snatcher. I mean, that is absolutely brutal. That's going to stir the pot. That's going to make him even more fired up than he could have ever been, you know. This is the big moment. This could be the last fight of his career at top level if he loses. To get called the Baby Snatcher, brutal. That's all I can say. I
mean, the only thing you can say is he's fighting such a young fighter that there might be some resonance in that observation. But, I mean, what a poor performance from the announcer. I mean, come on. I mean, you've got to read out what his name is.
Yeah, it was a bit crazy, wasn't it? What about the undercard, mate? Spencer? Nick Ball up against Sam Goodman. Is that Nick Ball all night?
I like this fight. I like this fight a lot, actually. Like, Nick Ball, yes, he's you know... He's the main man in the featherweight division right now. There's talk of him and Noye Anui, possibly later this year, early part of next year. He's the monster of the young, the lighter weights, and he's the man of the lighter weights. But he has to get through Sam Goodman. He's unbeaten Australian, 20-0, 8 KOs, and the kid's he's got different ideas. He said to me, he actually pulled me up on an interview that I'd done as well. I think that was with Simon, and he said, "You've got me down as a one-trick pony, someone that just walks forward and throws punches. I'm more than that. My boxing IQ is better than that, and you're going to find out when I box Nick Ball." So, yeah, I've had a few fighters pulling me up out here, actually, for comments that we've been making. But we're just making the assessments and going on what we've seen. And from what I've seen from Sam Goodman, he is that guy. Yes, he's good at a level, and he comes forward and he lets his hands go. He's got a good work rate. But Nick Ball, you know, He's got that adaptability. He's very good. If things are not going his way, he can change the game. He can box on the back foot. We saw that last time against TJ Donaghy as well, where he had to mix it up and change things up. Nick Ball's an exceptional young fighter, and I expect him to win this one. But Goodman is coming to win as well.
And what about Hrgovic and Adelaide? Have you alienated both of them?
No. Actually, I'm getting on really well with David Adelaide. He's been the shining star out here, to be fair. He's a very big character, and I like him a lot. Look, he recognises that he's coming off a bad performance against Jamie TKV in his last fight, and he has to improve on that significantly if he's going to win this fight against Filip Hrgovic, again, who's very, very proven, got that good win over Joe Joyce last time out. But we did see against Daniel Dubois that he took a bit of a hammering in that fight, got cut to pieces as well, and he was cut against Joe Joyce. Is that going to be a problem in this fight? But David Adelaide, he's buzzing out here right now. He's been, like I say, he's been the star of the show out here, really. Oozing with confidence. He's really, really up for this one. I'm looking forward to that fight.
Spencer, terrific stuff. Thank you very much indeed. Stay inside, mate. 43 degrees over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Don't forget Moses Ituma against Dillian, the baby snatcher, White. Body snatcher, the fella meant to say.
Explain the name. Where's that come from?
The body snatcher. Well, there was a famous fighter in the mid-80s called Mike McCallum, who was the body snatcher.
Yeah.
He takes away people's bodies by
Yeah.
body punches, and Dillian White got that moniker as well.
Okay, so much for the boxing in Saudi. We're at 12:30.
Corinthian Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were absolutely sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England were dominating the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895, they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money, but instead of entering league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. Think of it like the Harlem Globetrotters of football, and it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil, and the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil.
Well, as you know, the NFL returns to Wembley in October. The Los Angeles Rams take on Jacksonville Jaguars. Our competition to win VIP tickets is now open. We're giving you the chance to win 6 seats in a private box at Wembley, full hospitality, and $5,000 to go with it. 18 and over, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338. You're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 338. All entries must be received by the 25th of August at 11 at night. It's a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com. Mr. Danny Murphy in our midst, heading off to Liverpool very shortly, where he's going to have a sit-down chat with one Arne Slot, and I look forward to hearing it on talkSPORT, Danny. Of course, Liverpool, the champions, kick the whole thing off on Friday night. They're up against Bournemouth, and it's live on talkSPORT. As for Bournemouth, well, we like the sounds of their owner, Bill Foley, the hugely successful American businessman, and he spoke not that long ago to Alex Crook about his ambitions for the football club.
I know we'll be there. I know we'll be in the top 5 at some time in the future. We're doing well, and we just have to win games now, don't we? If we win games, we'll be everyone will be happy. It'll be wonderful for Bournemouth and the fans to play in Europe. I mean, they've never done it before. I just think it would be such an achievement and an accomplishment, and it's so good for the fans, frankly. My job is to really make sure we have an environment that attracts good players and is a situation those players want to stay. They don't want to move on. Because we can compete salary-wise with just about anybody, but we need to have the right facilities.
Danny, it's a balancing act, though, isn't it? I mean, after finishing a club record 9th last season, they've seen 3 of their top defenders leave for some of the leading clubs in Europe. Zabarni today, 57 million to PSG. Dean Howson, 50 million to Real Madrid. Kerkes has gone to Liverpool for 40 million. I mean, where is the balance between player profit and trying to progress as a football club?
Well, I think there's a reality around it, and it doesn't really matter what you do. I know they're going to do ground improvements, and the longer they're doing well and gaining momentum, you're going to attract players. But it's Brighton, Bournemouth. They've got good recruitment teams. They keep doing what they do, and they keep selling players on for more. It's a conveyor belt you can never turn off, because players generally are very ambitious and they don't want to sit around waiting for something that might happen. You know, even if you go as far as to say, I'm not comparing Bournemouth with Newcastle, but Isak, they're playing in the Champions League and he still wants out because he's got a better option, or a bit in his mind. He's got a bigger club. So it's something that inevitably will happen to all clubs who are punching above the weight. And it's how you manage it. Now, the problem is if you lose 3 or 4 in a really short space of time, which is what they've got, or what they've had happen.
3 top defenders have
then you've got to quickly be getting reinforcements in and being able to work with them. So they're lucky. They've got a tremendous coach who seems very good at improving players, and he doesn't seem too stressed about it. But
he's the next challenge.
He is another challenge. But ultimately, there's no way you can expect. I don't think you can expect Bournemouth to sell that much talent and then be better next season.
But it's a remarkable who Bournemouth are selling to.
It is, yeah.
So you look at the fact that they're selling to the biggest clubs in the world.
You're right.
And that's a testament to what they're doing. If they're set up in a way, they know what their focus in life is. They're set up in a certain way. If they were selling to clubs of a similar size, then you'd have this argument to run, which is it a profit over development? But in this instance, you've got Real Madrid and Liverpool coming knocking at your door and trying to take your players. That's a difficult conundrum to either legislate for or bake into your thinking. Now, I like him. I think he's a very good chairman. I think he was very bold in his perspective when he took out Gary O'Neill and put this guy in place, and it didn't start well, and everyone thought, hang on a second, that doesn't look very good. I think some of the things he says are unrealistic. I think it's going to be a very tall order for Bournemouth to be a given to be inside the top 5. I think it's also he also said a couple of things about we can afford anything everyone else can afford. You can't. No. You can't pay the same salaries as everybody else or some of the bigger clubs that you're trying to emulate because you simply don't have the turnover, and you're not going to have it anytime soon, which is the challenge that PSR brings. But there's so much right about Bournemouth. There's so much right about what they're doing. Their coach is brilliant. He'll be the next challenge because they'll lose him, tragically. And we've seen this replicate itself before in Southampton. Southampton, once upon a time, had probably, arguably, alongside Palace, the best academies, or some of the best academies in the country, given their pound-for-pound resources. They were throwing out Oxlade-Chamberlain, throwing out Bell, throwing out Walcott. And then they were a regular staple diet for Liverpool to come along. Oh, we like Lallana, we'll have him. We like Ricky Lambert, we'll have him. We like Sadio Mane, we'll have him. And we like Virgil van Dijk. And all of a sudden, what happened to Southampton being a progressive football club that A, had a brilliant academy, and B, was punching way above its weight in the Premier League, boom, sunk.
That's the risk.
And that's the challenge.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of now what he's used to, Bill, is he's used to a level playing field inside sports in America where the distribution models are very different. And this one lends itself to no outcome other than the legacy clubs continuing to be in the box seat, and everyone else can go to hell in a handcart and can be used as an opportunity for the vision to be seen when it's arrived. You do all the hard work, and the only thing you can do is make these buggers pay. Make them pay. Make them pay for your players. Top dollar, so you can go again.
Yeah.
And do it again. And it's a hard yards to keep squeezing the pips out of an orange, and eventually it will run dry. But there's a lot about Bournemouth that you have to admire.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, and Brighton as well. And I heard you mention Brighton earlier, Danny. And but it's interesting though, Simon.
They spent £300 million on players.
I think it wasn't that long ago. I think you interviewed Paul Barber, did you not, for this documentary?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I think he's a great chief executive.
And Paul quite honestly said,
we budget for relegation
every season is to dodge relegation, finish 17th. Well, I mean, I don't think they believe that anymore. Their aims and objectives are bound to have changed, and I think they have, because Tony Bloom has given an interview to The Observer, and he's now saying we're fairly desperate to win a trophy, regardless of last year's success by other clubs. The FA Cup and the Carabao Cup are really big tournaments for us.
Yep.
So it's a big priority.
Absolutely. And they can win a Carabao Cup. I mean, and this is why there's argument about...
I think it's a bit of green eyes of envy now, looking over at Palace, seeing what they've done.
Maybe. I mean, ultimately, there's rivalry between the two football clubs, which is a unique rivalry based upon not geographical
it gives them
perspectives.
hope as well.
But but also, Palace have been watching Brighton being put forward as a poster boys of how to do it, how wonderful they are, how this, that and the other. And in this studio, regularly, repeatedly and endlessly, we had to listen to that.
What, by me?
By you.
Okay.
So in that instance, it's not surprising. But there's so much... Tony Bloom is a brilliant owner. Tony Bloom has transformed his football club from the team that played in a paddy field with a scout hat as a boardroom to a football club that's now A, selling his players to the best clubs in the world, B, commanding ridiculous fees for them, and C, got into European competitions, but they still won nothing. And of course, Palace have come along and won the FA Cup, so it probably rankled with him.
And the Charity Shield.
And the Charity Shield. So with that in mind, I think both clubs, both Palace and Brighton, can be quite proud of their achievements. And they've also got a brilliant chairman, or vice chairman, in Paul Barber.
Are either Bournemouth or Brighton, now damn it, I'm going to say it, are either Bournemouth or Brighton in any way going to flirt with relegation next season?
I don't think so. I think Bournemouth's firepower is still really good.
Have they both steered themselves sufficiently far away from that territory?
Yeah, I mean, Brighton have got a a real strength in depth now. They've got real competition for places.
They've consolidated.
Yeah, they have. They've built up a decent squad. I still wouldn't have them anywhere near the top 4 or 5, to be honest. Excuse me. But the Bournemouth, they bought a centre-half from Lille for 35 million. He's going to come in. They've already bought a left-back last season. Their firepower in Semenya, Evan Nielsen,
Yeah,
Ouattara,
I like Semenya.
Clivert's boys.
Yeah,
tremendous.
Justin Clivert.
They're still going to have, when you look at them and compared to the clubs that have come up, you wouldn't put them.
The challenge for them is when these strikers, if these strikers have another good season, Semenya has another good season, Evan Nielsen has another good season, bang. On the door will come the bigger clubs saying, actually, we'll take your players now. And that's the challenge.
You love talking about Brighton and the paddy field and the scout hat.
I do like reminding them of where they should really belong.
Okay. The final part belongs to Alex Crook because he will join us live and we will talk transfers. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy. But the two of us will be staying together as Danny heads off to Liverpool, and he will probably team up with talkSPORT's chief football correspondent up there, Alex Crook. Alex in Liverpool this lunchtime, because Mr. Crook, we're talking about the Premier League launch. What does that involve?
We are, yeah. Good afternoon from the Titanic Hotel in Liverpool, of course, home city of the Premier League champions of last season. And we've got the dignitaries from the Premier League here this afternoon. I'm going to get a few minutes with Richard Masters, Chief Executive of the Premier League. No doubt Manchester City's 115 charges, and when we might hear the outcome of those will be high on the agenda. Howard Webb is going to talk me through the rule changes for the new season, including the fact goalkeepers will be punished if they hold on to the ball for more than 8 seconds with a corner given to the opposition team. We're going to be speaking to Ian Rush as well, Liverpool legend, and the former Manchester City and Liverpool goalkeeper David James to get his say on which of his former clubs are best equipped to win the title once more.
Alex, you being you, I know you've been busy before the launch gets underway proper. You've been on your phone. I cannot tell you the number of Newcastle, the number of Liverpool fans are in constant touch here. What is the latest? Is there one with Alexander Isak?
Well, no real change in that situation, Jim. Obviously, Alexander Isak has made it abundantly clear now to Newcastle that he wants to move, he wants to join Liverpool. They're waiting, I think, for the nod from Newcastle. They've got a replacement lined up, and therefore they'll come in with a fresh bid. Some dominoes are starting to fall into place. Bournemouth are looking for a replacement for Dongo Ouattara. That would enable Ouattara to join Brentford and free up Yohan Wissa to make that move to Newcastle. I don't think he's really the Isak replacement. I think they'll need a second striker, maybe a big name striker, to come in and fill what would be a considerable void. What I can tell you in terms of positives for Newcastle, they completed the signing of Malik Chow, a centre-back from AC Milan last night. He's a player that's been on their radar for several years now, so I know they're really pleased up at St James's Park to get that one over the line, and we're expecting their interest in Aston Villa midfielder Jacob Ramsey to ramp up as well. He's a player that I'm told Villa are willing to cash in on to help with their FFP situation, not necessarily in terms of Premier League PSR, but to ensure they stay on the right line of UEFA financial rules. So we expect movement there in the next 24, 48 hours.
Alex, let me throw that at Danny. Danny, Jacob Ramsey for Newcastle, potentially. What's your take?
I like him, yeah. He's one of the few players who's very, very good moving with the ball, going past people, glides with the ball. He's got good acceleration. He's had a problem staying fit, but he's a super talent. Don't think Villa fans would be particularly happy with that one.
Yeah. What else is bubbling under, Alex? Because obviously now we are where we are, the 13th, the 12th, 13th of the month. It really starts cranking up towards deadline day itself. You and I know that. Plenty of experience of it. Who do you think the movers and shakers are going to be going forward?
Well, I think there's a lot of clubs, Jim, who've kept their powder dry to this point. It seems to be that the big hitters and those newly promoted teams, and Sunderland in particular, who've dominated the market so far. Not much movement from the likes of Fulham or Crystal Palace, but we expect that to change. And Leeds United as well. Daniel Farker has been crying out publicly for a new number 9. We know they're interested in Rodrigo Muniz at Fulham, so are Atalanta over in Italy, but I think Fulham would be reluctant to lose him so late in the window without a replacement coming in. One player who looks set for a move to Leeds, though, is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I reported a couple of days ago that this was one to keep an eye on. They held talks earlier in the summer when I think Calvert-Lewin's wage demands were much higher. Obviously, he's looked around, he's assessed his options, he's gone back to Leeds, and a medical has been booked. Leeds fans, I think, are a little bit underwhelmed by that, given Dominic Calvert-Lewin's injury record. But if he can stay fit on a free transfer, it might not be the worst signing in the world. In terms of Crystal Palace, Liverpool, we reported yesterday, had held exploratory talks for Mark Gay, so we're keeping a close eye on that one. But he's got a big decision to make, and I'll throw this at Danny Murphy. Obviously, Liverpool at any time, but particularly having just won the Championship, they've spent big money to strengthen this summer. They're a difficult team to turn down, Danny, but you've got Virgil van Dijk there, you've got Ibrahima Konate. They're going to be Liverpool's first-choice centre-back pairing when fit. Is it a risk in a World Cup year for Mark Gay to go to Anfield and possibly be third in line?
Well, it depends how confident he is in himself, because the reality is, with Konate having 1 year left, there's a good chance that Liverpool might try and cash in on him in January if Gay comes in. But even if they keep him, there's going to be 60 plus games. Virgil's another year older. They very rarely can give him a rest. That will allow them to do so in a more comfortable place because Gay's terrific, pace, experience, been captain at Palace for a couple of years. So I don't think the amount of games is going to be a problem. And also the long-term picture for him, he'll probably think that he's going to be playing with him after Canati leaves. You know, he's probably looking at it that way, right? I know he'll want to play in the World Cup, but I think he will anyway. I think he'll get enough games. I don't see that as a problem now.
Alex, actually, just before you joined us, the three of us were in discussion here about Bournemouth virtually selling the heart of their defence, Zabani to PSG, Housen to Real Madrid, and Kerkes to Liverpool. What's the latest there? Because they are going to have to get names, get bodies over the line.
Yeah, they're another team that I'd expect to be busy in the final weeks of the window. Obviously, they lost Milos Kerkez to Liverpool as well. They replaced him pretty quickly with Adrien Truffert coming in, the French left-back. I might be speaking to him later today for talkSPORT as well. And they've got their Zabani replacement, second most expensive signing in their history, Diakate, a centre-back coming in from Lille in France. And they're in talks, I'm told, with Bayer Leverkusen for Amin Adli. At the moment, I think there's a big gap in valuation between what Bournemouth will want to pay and what Bayer Leverkusen are asking for. But again, that's part of that jigsaw puzzle, that if they get that signing over the line, then Ouattara would be allowed to go to Brentford, Wissa to Newcastle, so on and so forth. So I don't fear for Bournemouth. I understand they've lost a lot of their first-choice defenders from last season, but the recruitment model has been so good in recent seasons. I would back Bill Foley, who I know you're a big admirer of, Jim and Simon, to get it right, and I think Bournemouth will be just fine.
Yeah, really enjoyed listening to your chat with Bill Foley earlier on, Alex, a chat you did some time ago. Finally, Donnarumma, giant of a goalkeeper at PSG. It's au revoir from them to him. Not so much a biento either, because I think he's disappearing somewhat under a cloud. But what are we talking? Manchester City?
Yeah, they look the most likely at the moment, Jim. I think, again, they need certain things to happen. We know there's interest from Galatasaray in Edison. I'm told they've offered him a Turkish record wage fee to make that move, and I don't think Manchester City will necessarily stand in his way. He didn't have a brilliant season by his standards last year, and obviously he's another year older. They've got James Trafford coming in, who they see as a long-term successor, but this just might be an opportunity in the market that maybe they didn't expect to arise, that if Edison goes, they get the opportunity to sign someone who, for me, was the best goalkeeper in the world in the second half of last season, played a massive role in PSG winning the Champions League. He was brilliant at Villa Park when Villa were trying to come back into that knockout game. He was brilliant in both legs against Arsenal. And this has been a very quick divorce, if you like, isn't it, from Paris Saint-Germain? I thought his statement was very heartfelt and very honest, and Luis Enrique has obviously responded by saying, this is my decision, I want to go in a different direction. The one thing I think would count against him in terms of Manchester City, Donnarumma, as brilliant a shot stopper he is, he's not terrific. He's not number one with the ball at his feet. And obviously Pep Guardiola usually likes his goalkeeper to play out from the back.
OK, Alex, not for the first time. Thanks so much for your contribution, mate. Hope it all goes well for you at the Premier League launch. Donnarumma, what's your take on that, Danny? Is he a top level goalkeeper that would do well here in the Premier League for City?
He's an amazing goalkeeper. Huge presence, but I find it bizarre that they've just gone and spent the money on Trafford and then they'll bring him in and he'll be sat on the bench. I don't see it. Where's that leave him? I'd be interested to see how that develops. But yeah, Donnarumma's better than Trafford.
I wouldn't expect Simon Richard Masters, top man at the Premier League, to come out with anything new regarding the charges facing Manchester City. Would you?
No. I mean, it's a difficult question to ask because you can get a formulaic answer. I mean, you can load the question and say what level of competence was deployed in allowing an independent panel to take this amount of time. That question would be nice to ask him to get him right between his eyes. But Masters is a polished marketeer that will just answer the question the way he wants to answer it, which means we'll get no insight about anything.
We'll bring you more insight about everything tomorrow from 10, especially with the man Jordan beside me. Danny, I know you're off to Liverpool. I hope it goes well with Arne Slot. Danny in conversation with Arne Slot later on today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow, actually.
First thing tomorrow, and then we'll hear some of that on the show, I do hope, before we go at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Before that, we're back here tomorrow at 10. Thanks for being with us today.